Everybody, and welcome to the first round of Season 0 of the Darkwing Racing Endurance Championship. And now every championship has to start somewhere, and there's no better place to begin than here at the World Centre of Racing. When Daytona International Speedway first opened in 1959, it marked the start of a new era in motorsport. Decades later, its 3.5-mile road course remains one of the ultimate tests of man and machine, a circuit that demands speed, precision and nerve, all in equal measure. But this year, iRacing's version of Daytona brings a fresh challenge. With an updated bus stop chicane, the layout is familiar, but it's got a new twist. Faster, sharper and more punishing than before. It's sure to catch anyone out who isn't precise. Tonight, as the sun sets over the Florida tarmac, our GT3 championship begins its journey. The field is stacked, the tension is high, and every driver knows that a strong start here can shape the entire season. From the infield's technical turns to the high banks of the oval, every lap will test endurance, racecraft, and composure. Drafting battles will rage down the straights, the braking zones will be unforgiving, and the new chicane will separate the brave from the bold. Strategy will matter, but survival will matter even more. Welcome everybody to round 1 at Daytona. I'm joined this evening in the commentary box by Zach. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Lewis. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to an excellent evening. Got a 2-hour race ahead of us. And kind of looking forward to see what happens. Let's have a little overview here for everyone. If you're unfamiliar, haven't been in the Discord, and want to see what this championship is looking like. We're starting out with Daytona here this evening, followed up very swiftly in 2 weeks' time over at the Nürburgring before heading to Silverstone, Spa-Francorchamps, the 24-hour circuit of Le Mans, and then finishing the season in the very early days of 2026 over in Sebring. And for this evening, you can expect the end of practice, which is just finishing up here, just looking like we've got just under 8 minutes to go left in free practice 2, following on from free practice 1 that happened yesterday evening, and then we're going to head in to a 3-lap solo qualifying session where you have 15 minutes, but of course if you screw up one of those laps, they're not going to be counting for anything. And then we're going to be heading into the 2-hour race, which is really going to be a test of endurance, but we're on sprint fuel, so we're looking just around about 60% fuel tanks, plus or minus a bit, for the bot of each car. So there's going to be expecting 3, maybe 4 pit stops if you pick up a bit of damage during the race. And just reminding everyone, we're split into 3 car classes. We've got the Pro, Pro-Am and Am, all scored completely separately from each other. So Pro, Pro-Am and Am get first place. You get the same number of points there at 32, 25 for second, 22 for third, all the way down to the back of the grid. And of course, that all-important prize pool of $100 US for first place in the season, and $40 for second, and $10 for third. Let's bring ourselves over here to the live racing action and bring on the standings here and see. Got a good selection of drivers in this evening. It looks like we've got JT Sawyer heading up the Am class right now. Got Timo Gartner heading up the Pro-Am, and just now, as he crosses the line, Tom Critchell is topping up Pro in the practice session here with just over 6 minutes to go. Anyone you've got particularly your eye on this evening, Zach?
I think we're gonna have a good group of people out here. The whole week I've been keeping my eyes around Tom. It looks like he's been getting a lot of practice in the track. David's been seen on the track quite a bit as well. So I think we're gonna have a lot of exciting racing and quite a bit of some fights on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was in the session just a little bit earlier this afternoon, and I had Timo Gartner was actually faster than some of the pro drivers. Of course, there's no separation like you might see in multi-class racing, where they are separated on the grid. You might have GTPs, LMP2s, and GT3s most traditionally in iRacing. They're not going to be separated out, and they're more than welcome to fight with other classes if it's going to help them get up the grid. Of course, you don't want to slow yourself down too much, but he was doing quite nicely. If we can go to the overall times here, you can see Timo Gartner faster than Lucas, faster than Robin Wist, and faster than quite a few of those pro class drivers. Might he be seeing his way up to the pro class very shortly?
And it's looking like we're going to have a spicy fight on our hands.
Absolutely, and we can see Ian Kengan there has managed to get himself a slowdown, I'm sure, from the new chicane. Should we see where he is on the track? Yes, it looks like he's probably picked that up heading out of the chicane, and it doesn't look like he's going to clear it. Oh, he does, just in time to reach the start finish line, so it doesn't affect his next lap. Everybody getting a bit racy out there. Looks like directly behind him we've got the number 85 car, and car coming out the pits there, getting out the way. Ooh, dived himself down the inside a little bit. We're getting racing before the race has even begun. I think you're completely right. We're gonna have a spicy race here tonight, and top 14 cars across all of the classes covered by just over 1 second.
Definitely going to be an interesting one. It's definitely the time now to feel out the track, test the other cars, you know, try to make some friends and see who's going to be your draft buddy, right? This is definitely going to be one of those tracks where you're going to want to have a nice friend to pit with, come out of pits. You don't want to be alone out here. You're going to get left behind pretty quick.
Indeed, that entire banking section, if you can have someone in front of you pulling you along, either for the extra pace or just the fuel saving, of course, when you're heading over 2 hours, if you're able to sit behind someone who's reasonably on your pace and just kind of back off as you come into the chicane a little bit, you're going to save so much fuel that you're probably going to be able to jump them and maybe some cars in front of them on the pit stops as well. Especially, you know, we've got lots of...
Definitely be interesting to see how those fuel strats work out here.
Yeah, I've had some good sources that tell me that this is looking like a 3-stop race, or 3 stints, should I say. But the last stint is going to be very short, only a couple of laps or so, you know, 5 to 10 laps for the final stint. So there are some good opportunities for strategy here. You're probably going to end up having some drivers trying the undercut, some trying to just stay out as long as possible, of course, trying to go as fast as possible as you head out on the you know, on the warm tyres versus a set of cold tyres straight out of the pit. Important here, of course, if you want to run a whole tyre set for the race, they're going to be pretty dead by the end, but you also don't want to change necessarily at every pit stop, because you're going to lose maybe up to 10 seconds, especially as the track temperature comes down. At that time warming up the tyres where everyone else is running away on their warm tyres from their previous stint.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm wondering how many drivers we'll see out here do a tire change on the first stop, but then maybe skip that change on the second and just go for fuel and try and drag that out to the end.
Yeah, of course. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We're running on sprint fuel here, so 60% fuel tanks. You're looking at maybe just over 45 minutes or so of fuel in your car. That's... you know, that's not a massive amount of time to be on one set of tires.
Correct. You could probably stretch it out maybe into the second one, but then you've got to be wondering at that third stop, right? With that being a shorter stop, is it worth trying to stretch those tires out? Or if you're going to take a full tank anyway, you know, you can take a clean, you know, a full set of tires and full fuel on that first stop to get you through, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So looks like we've got a minute left of practice here. Watching the number 85 car of Price come across the line, and both he and Ian Kinnigan in front rise up the order. Price now 6th overall, but 4 and a bit tenths off of the leader of Tom Critchell. who currently has a time of a 1:44.033. Of course, this session's been running for just over 2.5 hours, so those times can very much be set in very different track conditions. So the real test is going to be coming in about 30 seconds time as we head into qualifying. Everybody on a solo track, but that doesn't make it any less dicey. You've got to spend a lap or two warming up your tyres, and if you spin, well, that lap's in the bin, and if you're in the wall, you could potentially end your entire run if you can't get another lap in time.
Definitely going to require a lot of focus to lay down those lines and get a full clean lap into that qualifying. We'll see which drivers can hold it together and which ones, fall to the stress of what's about to be happening to them.
Absolutely. So checker flag out now in practice, and the number 39 car going for a little bit of spin, and everyone just forming their way back up for the start of qualifying, which should be happening incredibly shortly. We go. Oh, there we go. And now we are into the 15 minutes of qualifying, 3 laps. You can see the track temperature has come down quite significantly. Now we're looking at 25 degrees track temp and 24 degrees air temp. That's going to keep coming down as we head into the evening. And it looks like we have a couple of cars just starting to come out the pit lane now. Michael G. First car on track is the Lamborghini of Lucas Antunes, proudly sponsored by Switzerland. He's not a slow driver by any stretch of the imagination, but he's definitely been having some struggles with that Lamborghini. I've seen it going for at least a few spins today, so it looks like it's very fast, but is it going to be able to keep it under control?
Looks like they're having a bit of a love-hate relationship out there today. Let's hope the race goes a little more love than hate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 hours in a car you don't like very much. Sounds a little bit like Matt on the basic 24, but that was 24 hours. And if you're just kind of not in tune with how the car wants you to drive, I know who's very much considering taking the 15-point penalty in order to switch cars. So he's definitely not been having a great time with the Lamborghini. Not particularly popular in iRacing public sessions either. So certainly a brave choice, I think I'll put it. But that should
definitely
not...
someone to keep an eye on and see if he can hold up to the task, or if he makes that choice to take that penalty and swap that car.
Absolutely. I think maybe the results of this first round are going to be very telling to whether he hangs on to that Lamborghini for the whole season. Let's ride on board with him now as he becomes the first driver to cross the start-finish line and start his lap, taking a wide line into turn 1, cutting in, raise up a little bit of a hill there onto the curb. Didn't look particularly neat. Especially a little back off there as he got his way onto the left-hand curb. Head into the horseshoe, turn number 4 here. Now this is a turn coming up, turn number 5 here. It can really really screw you up if you're on cold tyres. Catch you out is the word I was looking for. Looks like he was quite conservative, nowhere near the curb on the outside. Definitely near the curb on the inside there, as he makes his way out towards the NASCAR section of the track, braking down, apex in there somewhere, and he's wide out onto the rumble strip there. Not looking like a particularly tidy lap, but he will be first across the line, which means he should get first place. And just looking at the timing there, although it's a personal best, of course, first sector in the session, it is not the fastest sector overall. So maybe a bit more time to come in that Lamborghini as we break down towards this new bus stop. Lots more runoff area there, but there are some nasty curbs on the inside, but you can really abuse the curbs on the outside there. Want to carry as much speed as possible as we are now out onto the oval and round towards the start-finish line. Not much to think about now apart from planting your foot directly on the floor. You pass the pit entry, still not a fastest time for the second sector overall. And he's going to cross the line, and what's he going to do? It's a 1:45.183. Stays the fastest time right now. It's only Matt's behind him who has set a faster time. And there it goes. Robin Wist, who sets the fastest time overall. And Lucas is down to P3 and now P4 with a Pro-Am driver in front of him. No love spared in this Lamborghini this evening.
Looks like Alexander Drake might have pulled something out for his pull-through at a 3rd place, looking like it so far.
Yeah, that is speedy indeed, as he's actually got quite a few Pro-Class drivers behind him. Trying to see what car he's in.
Alexander is in the Lamborghini.
He's also in the Lamborghini. Yeah, so maybe he seems to be having a much better time with the Lamborghini, even though he's only just over a 10th faster. He is in a lower class, so it's not gone too badly for him either. Let's have a little look here. It looks like he has set the fastest sector of his class. But I can see there Thomas Critchell in the Porsche has set the fastest time of anyone in the 1st sector. And he is absolutely a man challenging for pole this evening. Let's see if there's anything he can do in that bright red 992 car as he makes his way down to the chicane. And Alex Drake there actually setting the fastest 2nd sector of his class, only to be beaten by Thomas Critchell, who has set the fastest 2nd sector overall. And improvement for Lucas as he temporarily goes P1, and then Mats takes it off him by 3/100ths of a second. Interesting there, Mats has gone back to the pits. Did he miss fuel for 3 laps? A few drivers actually heading back to the pits. And there we go. As we saw on the sector timings, Thomas Critchell is up to P1 with a 1:41.158. Fastest out of anyone by 3.5 of a second. It's not going to be challenged by Mats in the 95 car because he's gone back to the pit lane.
It's looking like a couple of our drivers might have just ran out of fuel for that 3rd lap. Maybe used a little bit too much on that warm-up.
Maybe, or maybe everyone has been using setups designed for a normal iRacing open session. I've forgotten that they actually get an extra lap. A man who hasn't forgotten there's an extra lap is Thomas Critchell, who's on his 3rd and final lap here while being in the lead. Looks like a small issue with our sector timing there. I can assure you he has gone faster than 145 seconds in the 1st sector.
It looks like Lucas got a slow down, so that might
Indeed.
have ruined his last chance at a move up in position.
Indeed. Who are we looking at? David Sling in the 513 car has set the fastest 1st sector of anyone. He's currently last of everyone who's set a time in that Pro class. But he looks like he's flying as he sets the 2nd sector fastest overall, takes it off of Thomas Critchell, who had it for just a moment before him. But maybe Tom has had a great exit out of the chicane there, and he can fight it back. How close is it going to be as we head towards the start-finish line now? Is Tom going to extend his advantage? He's cutting as much as he can up to the line, and it's going to be a 1:43.952, putting half a second between him and the next fastest car, but not for long, as just behind him, the 513 car is 0.69 behind him as they head back to the pits. It looks like most in that Pro class have finished up their laps now. And we're looking at the number 7 car still on track. See if we can find him. Nope, he's not on track anymore. Mikey Stewart is going to be starting in 10th or worse. And Timo Gartner there in the 911 car, he absolutely gets in the middle of all of those Pro class drivers, just half a second behind the fastest time, and everybody's coming in now to improve as that track is cooling down. Can James Pearce move himself up the order?
looks like the quali fuel and the lower track temps might have thrown off some drivers. We had quite a bit of spins there on those third laps as that fuel started to lighten up and the car started to get a little bit more twitchy.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a real mix of drivers in here. Looks like Ian Kerrigan's got a slowdown, so he's ended his run and gone back to the pits. Joe Harrison has set the fastest first sector of any driver. Looks like he's running out of sequence from everybody else. And he set his personal best middle sector, so it looks like he is quite likely to end up better than that 14th starting position, last of all the Pro Class drivers. Let's see what he can do as he crosses the line. It is a 1:44.668, which moves him up to 9th place in front of Stephen Norrie, and becomes almost within reach of G in the 39, and Antunes in the 422, just a 10th behind them. Looks like we've got a pretty tight grid here. The top 15, as it was in practice, is going to be within just over a second of each other. So even though we have three pretty distinct classes here, they don't appear to be that far separated.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this works out when the green flag drops and everyone's got to find their buddies to get around the track. We'll see who can make friends and who gets left out in the open.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not completely sure here. It looks like Joe Harrison is going around the circuit. It doesn't look like he's going particularly quickly. Might have added himself an extra lap of fuel, or maybe he's practicing that entry, or maybe he just didn't have a great first sector there. Let's see if he's got anything. He has set a personal best in the middle sector, 33.06. Oh, that was a horrible exit there, and he's into the wall, and he's taking his rear wing off. So safe to say he's not going to be going any faster during this session. He is allowed to go back out again, but I'm pretty sure that will use up his final flying lap. And indeed, he's got himself out of the car. Felix Mexner now in that white Porsche in Pro-Am. Looks like a little bit of a wide exit of turn one, and he's onto the grass. And he's spun it around. That's not going to be going much faster at all. Let's see who else is on the track. We've got Matthew Carter here, currently last of all drivers who have set a time. He's quite a way off the back of Keane and the 912. Wonder if he's just given himself a good few warm-up laps, or maybe kind of just getting some race pace in there. In fact, I will correct myself, as Garcia has just set a slower time, 6 seconds off the pace at the back. See what's happening for Matthew Carter, as Ian Kennigan from that slowdown earlier has actually come back out of the pits. Must have enough laps left in order to try and improve. He's currently not set a personal best for the first sector, I can see. But Carter has 44.33, so looking to move himself up ahead of, or at least closer to the back of that AM pack, as he heads round the banking of NASCAR 1 and 2 and down the straight towards the chicane. 2 minutes 20 left in qualifying now, so if you're not starting a lap very soon... Oh, and he's sliding through there. And that's into the wall, and that is certainly the end of his qualifying run. Looks like it's at least 28th. My apologies for his start overall. And it looks like we have one car left on the track who could displace him to go down to 29th in the 107 Aston Martin there. Again, another bold choice because it doesn't have too many setups available for it. He's set a personal best for the first sector. He's not set a personal best, a 34.88 for the middle sector. He's going to hope that there's something magical coming in this last sector. At the very least, put him not last in the back of the pack. He's going to come across the line now, and he's going to do a 49.127, which indeed puts him up to 28th place. And he's actually got another lap to go as well. So last driver on the track, but I'm not completely sure that he's going to get time to finish that. I think he crossed the line with about 1 minute 15 to go. And
got about a minute left now entering the left. It looks like he's probably going to run out of time just before he hits that finish line.
I think he might make it into the bus stop chicane and maybe around NASCAR 3 and 4, but I'm not sure he's going to make it too much further than that, if I'm honest.
Let's check it out and see.
He's
around onto the back.
Yeah, he's set a personal best for the first sector, so maybe he is just kind of practicing to get a bit more of that race pace in, just to kind of look and see how he's going. Yeah, 20 seconds to go. I think he would need an absolute rocket ship in order to make it around to the start-finish line before that timer runs out. 10 seconds to go now, remaining in qualifying, before we take a look at how our grid is shaping up. And there we go. That wasn't a bad guess at all. He made it out of the last chicane there, but not much further. So that's qualifying rounded up, everyone. We've got Thomas Critchell on pole as we start a 2-minute countdown before the race begins. Everyone getting into their car now. Let's have a look at the grid. We've got Tom Critchell on pole there, followed by David Schilling in P2. Very close indeed, a 1:43.952 for Tom, followed by a 1:44.0 in P3. We're looking at Robin Wist, and then Timo Gartner in P4. P5, we've got Matt and P6 Price. Antunes makes up P7 and G in P8. Harrison in P9 and Nori in P10. P11 is Drake and P12 Costa. 13th for Pierce and 14th for Stewart. Damon in P15 and Mexner in 16th place. 17th for Hardiak and 18th for Garrett. 19th for Kennigan and P20 for the number 12 car. P21 for Duquette and P22 for Sawyer. Massey in 23rd and 24th for Rhodes. Getting down the grid, it's the 999 car as they all scroll past me far too fast. Towards the back of the grid in P29, we've got Carter there. So, an exciting race ahead of us. And a very quick scrolling grid there, because we have to get to the start of the race in 45 seconds. It's Tom Critchell on pole in that very bright red Porsche there. Do you think he's going to keep it into turn one?
The Porsche is a pretty stable car, so I think he's got a great chance at making it through. I think it's all going to depend on how everything stacks up behind him, and we're going to see how friendly and how close everyone's going to get here in that first corner.
Indeed. 29 cars on the grid there, just waiting for the final driver to get in before we get underway, checking their setups, checking their fuel, and we're looking at a slightly cooler track, 24 degrees Celsius, but that is for sure going to decrease as the race continues. Everyone in their car, and we are absolutely ready to go for round number 1 here. Let's just have a little look at the track we're taking on here. So we're going to be looking at 5.67 kilometers. Still a very high air temp as we head into the Florida evening. No fog, no chance of rain, and 5 kilometers an hour winds that are going to be pushing you around very, very lightly around the track. Tom Critchell making sure to position himself with a bit of room behind the pace car, warming his tyres up, and leaving quite a gap maybe that he can accelerate into and then brake hard again before this race begins. Let's have a little look in here. He has the 513, that white car you can see in the background there, really getting ready to go. And look at that, a glorious sight behind everyone. It's always best to see all the headlights in your rear view mirror as all of the cars form up and get ready to go for this race start, which will be coming very, very shortly. Come up to the pit entry here. Everyone looks to be keeping pretty well behaved in the back of the pack there. And right on cue, the pace car is off and it is up to Thomas. Ooh, everyone's getting a bit close in the background. But it is green flag for round 1 of the DWREC Championship. And Tom Critchell is immediately under threat from the 513 car, but he is going to have the opportunity to go on the inside and push out that Corvette round to the outside, but it's still too wide as we're coming around turn 2 and 3. It looks like we've got some spinners in the background there. We're going to come back and look at that in a minute. Few cars off. Looks like G in the 39 car got caught up in there. He's right at the back now in the Pro Class. And Tom Critchell has had the lead taken from him, and he might be about to lose another place. No, he slots right in the middle there as we come around turn number 5. Very tricky on cold tyres. Is Tom going to try and get the lead back? No, he's not. He's just going to stick behind David Schilling, who now takes the lead in this race and is actually starting to pull away by quite a bit. He's got 0.5 of a second on Tom Critchell in that Porsche. Now, do we think that he's got some better tyre warm up there? Is it possible that he has underfueled slightly at the start of this race, so he's going to have to stop early, because of course it is a 3-stop, but you're not going to need as much fuel at every stop. There's a bit of a fight going on behind Tom there, but still pulling out that gap to 0.5 of a second is David Schilling as we head for the first time in this race into the bus stop. Everyone looking like maybe they're getting through there fine. Robin Wist now on the back of Thomas Critchell, and he is absolutely looking like he is going to line himself up for an overtake as we head into turn 1. Looks like we've got the 699 car in the background who's got to slow down, most likely coming off that bus stop chicane. And Robin Wist is right on the bumper of Tom Critchell. It's right on board with him now. Is he going to try and make a move anywhere into turn 1? He's going around the outside, but I don't think there's going to be much room for him to go down. Almost tapping the back of Tom. Oh, and he gets hit. He gets hit himself. Was that from Price in the 85 car? He's certainly made it through, and he let Wist back through, so we can only guess it was Price who made that contact there into turn 1. There looks like there might be a little bit of a mark on the back, but I can't particularly see a lot of damage. Let's have a little look from the rear view here. No, I think it all looks all right as far as I can see.
Looks like just a few bumps and scrapes.
Indeed. Real drama happening out now in this championship. Let's stay with these cars because it has given Critchell quite a lot of breathing room now. 2 seconds the gap. That's quite a nice margin to have on lap 2 of this race.
Oh yeah, and especially once you break that draft, if you have someone to pull you along, that gap can grow very quickly, very fast.
Indeed. Just having a look at what's shaken out from the start. Do we have a spinner in the background there? Oh, Corey Price definitely didn't go for a spin, but he certainly didn't have a great time going through that bus stop. He's dropped almost a second to Robin Wist now, and looks like we've got an overtake here. Lucas Antunes happening on Matt in that meme liveried car. Is he going to make it before turn 1? They're going side by side now. We look up here, there's a pass happening right behind them as well.
Just behind them, Joe Harrison and Timo.
Yeah, it's 2 by 2 as we come into turn 1. Who's going to come out on top? Lucas braking. It's Lamborghini on Lamborghini. And it looks like it is Matt in the 95 car who's going to come out on top. Looks like we've got a yellow flag in sector 1. Damon maybe going for a little bit of a spin. No, he's still running on the track fine. We'll have a little look at that. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong car. Damon looks like he may have gone for a little spin there, as he is now right at the back of everyone running. So, gaps coming out now, but there is still a real fight happening with Joe Harrison, Lucas and Matt there, the 422, the 95, and the 54 car, all fighting for position as we head on to NASCAR number 1 and 2. They're all following in the slipstream, and they've got a lovely train of cars behind them. See their light coming through now. They're jostling for position, but it is really costing them time to catch up to the leaders.
It is interesting to see some of them fighting this early on in the race, knowing how much time we've got left.
Yeah, oh, and that's Lucas who's off wide there, and he's going to cut the track, and he's certainly going to get a slowdown for that one. It was miles off the track there. He pulls back in front of Mats, but he's going to have to let him through to pay off that slowdown. I think he's possibly going to lose out to Joe Harrison, and potentially Stephen Norrie behind. As the yellow flag in sector 3, we will come back and have a look at those incidents once the start has calmed down a little bit. And he's lost loads of time. He's now got Stephen Norrie coming through on the inside. And that's a disaster for Lucas as he comes down to the last of that leading pack on lap 1. And he's still got that slowdown to serve. I think he has. He's lost the position to another driver there, 57 of Pierce, and the 911 of Timo Gartner. That's been a disaster of a bus stop for him. So there's a yellow flag in sector 1 as well. Can't exactly see who that is right now, but there's definitely a car stopped. Damon's got a slowdown. We'll have a little look back at the replays in just a brief moment.
It's looking like it was Michael G stopped there on the track in the yellow car, in the yellow Mercedes.
Yeah, he was really far at the back of the at the beginning. It looks like he went for a spin, maybe under the pressure there, but he's not too far off the back of the pack. Looks like we've had Alexander Drake, who's been in the pits for quite a while now. Not sure if he's going to be coming back out again, but must have got caught up in that first lap drama. Let's have a little look now if we can't split everyone into class view there rather than overall. And it's Schilling who leads the way as Lucas manages to get his way past Pierce there around the banking. So it looks like we got Schilling and Critchell who are fighting for the lead of the Pro Class. Timo Gartner's pulled a 4-second lead on Costa in the Pro-Am, and Michael Rhodes leading the Am class there, with JT Sawyer following behind. Looks like there's still some pretty tight gaps going throughout the field, as that was a tight gap as we go into turn 1 there, and Lucas really has to get some work on in that Lamborghini.
Looking back a little bit, it looks like Michael G might have been the one that was involved in that lap 1 incident.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the standings here. He is 30 seconds off of anyone in his class, so it's looking like he was definitely involved. I'm seeing here that he might be in the pits. Let's have a little look back, see if we can't see what happened on that lap 1. Oh, apologies. We're going as far back as qualifying there. Let's not go that far back. Let's have a look at lap 1 here. Michael G in that bright yellow waffle car house. What happens to him here? Oh, he just gets tagged by Steven, and he is off the track, and he is a far way from home there. And I think he pretty much lets the whole field pass from that one. Have a little look like Sven maybe got involved in that as well. What happens here into turn 1? He's going wide. Let's go for a spin. Oh, he just has to get out of the way of that spinning Mercedes there, and just loses quite a lot of time because of it. And doesn't
does
look
do a pretty good job at not collecting any damage there.
Doesn't look like that Michael G has had a great time as coming into turn 1 once again. He just goes for a spin all by himself and holds his brakes, but everyone has to get out of his way, and he's right in the middle of the track. I wouldn't be super surprised if someone hits him. No, he manages to get away with it as far as I can see, although that car is really going for an adventure on the outside of the track. I think that might have been Spencer, possibly. Might have come across him and have to go for a real adventure. Maybe not. You can see the spun car in the middle there, and no, he just goes quite calmly around the outside. And oh, that does actually make some contact there as everyone managed to sort themselves out. We've got Chris Massey, who's been involved in an incident here. Doesn't look like he's around any cars, so may well have spun. He hasn't got a rear end on that Lamborghini and has kind of spun all by himself at turn 1 there.
Looking like he might have already had himself a rough race.
Yeah, and he is well and truly in the pits. So let's head back live again and pick up David Schilling, who's in the lead of that pro class with Thomas Critchell just a second behind, who's chasing him down. And looks like while we have been away, Chris Massey has gone and he's out of this race. So he had already lost and been in the wars a bit. So he's decided after just 10 minutes of racing here that he's not coming back out of the pits. And got another car. Yeah, that Alexander Drake has been in the pits for quite a while. Might have some extensive repairs to make to that particular machine. And
looking back, it looks like he might have collected a love tap going into one of the tighter corners there that sent him into the wall. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in there for a bit with some repairs.
Indeed. And well, we're going to head back to some replays now, because it looks like JT Sawyer, who was right on the back of Michael Rhodes, has had an incident. What's happened here? He's in the bright McLaren. Was this involved with a spun car across the track? No, he just goes for a spin all by himself. Ooh, and narrowly avoids any other car in there. But that's not done well. His chase down of Michael Rhodes in P2 managed to get it spun around and going again. And we did very briefly see a yellow flag in Sector 1. I think that was for Timo Gartner, who might have had a little bit of an incident as he headed down into the horseshoe. What happened here? Oh, he just goes too long and has to avoid the back of Lucas there. And that's what our yellow flag was for, as he manages to regain himself back onto the track. And let's head back to the live action with Timo Gartner, still in P3 for that Pro-Am class. But he was very, very quick in qualifying, mixing it up with the pros. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to dispatch of Ian Kennigan and the number 11 machine of Costa here in quick succession to bring himself back up to that lead. Of course, being in Pro-Am and being in Am isn't all about your outright pace. There's lots of consistency that has to be had in these long endurance races. So it looks like he is very much closing in quite quickly. I can see the 23 car of Kennigan actually behind the 57 of James Pierce, who is going to be fighting in the pro class there, 4 seconds behind. So I can't see much reason that he's going to hold up these two cars behind, but he's done a pretty good job so far of keeping them behind him on this particular lap. We have a little look here. We can see that lap for Ian Kennigan there. He was two tenths faster on the last lap, of course. That 8 tenths on lap number 6 was from that little adventure out onto the track. Out onto the grass, should I say. We head down towards the bus stop chicane. Doesn't look like that James Pierce in the 57 machine is particularly looking to give up any positions at all, even if they're not for his class. But surely here we've got to be looking at a move from Kennigan here in the 23 car as we head down towards turn 1. He's on the outside. He's got the run. He's going. Is he going to be gone? Let's have a little look as we head down into turn 1.
Really brave on the brakes there.
Indeed, that Porsche making its way past the Mercedes there. And that gives him a little bit of breathing room from Timo Gartner behind, who still has to get past that particular purple vehicle as he pulls off out of the horseshoe. You can just see the gap he's making. It was a couple tenths before we head into the bus stop, but now it is very much approaching a second, so really giving him some nice breathing room as he sets off of the leader of the Pro-Am class of Costa in the number 11. JT Sawyer there, you just saw on the side of your screen, managing to get past Carter, the number 33, to move himself out of last place and back into last place again. Let's see this particular battle happening as we head into the horseshoe. JT in the bright orange and blue McLaren, chasing down the purple Carter of the Dark Wind Racing livery. And
looks like Alexander Drake has joined us back out on the track. He's 7 laps down. We'll see what he can make up in the next bit of time. We're still pretty early on, so there's a lot of mistakes that can happen, but he's going to have a lot of work ahead of him.
Indeed, can you believe it? We're only 15 minutes into this 2-hour race. There's still lots of thrills and spills to go on as Felix Messner in the Pro-Am class losing quite a few places there as he gets a slowdown penalty. He's definitely lost one to the 999 car and heads into 6th place, but he clears it in time to not drop to 7th. And JT here chasing down Carter. Doesn't look like there's any move happening particularly soon, so let's have a look at this battle here. We've got Joe Harrison, who is hunting down Lucas Antunes, with Stephen Norrie close behind, and it looks like we're kind of starting to reform again 2 distinct packs in this pro class. We have Schelling and Critchell, who are far and away out in front of everybody else, 5 seconds the gap, and kind of this gaggle of cars here. You've got 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and then less than a second for everyone further back. Looks like they're maybe the main pack that's going to be running in this race. Now, are they going to work together to try and catch their way back up to the leaders, or they're going to throw logic out of the window and head off and fight each other? All important in an endurance race, and you've both got to have the same mindset as well. You can't kind of be just sticking behind someone who's going to defend you every corner, because you're still losing the time you would from fighting, and you haven't got past. And Lucas Antunes once again gets a slow down penalty. He's going to be racking up those 1Xs and losing those places as Joe Harrison gets past him for 6th place, still serving it. Very likely that Stephen Norrie is going to get him as well as we head down into turn 1. He's straight past.
Getting a slowdown going on to any one of the straights on this track can be so punishing.
Indeed, and Stephen Norrie now right on the back of Joe Harrison, and looks like that he's going to be trying to make up yet another position, both fighting in the pro class here. Half a second covering them, but that Mustang is fast in a straight line. I've not really seen too many people running the Aston Martin to know where it's quick, to be honest. He's a big fan of the Porsche, is Stephen, and we know that that isn't a particularly great car in a straight line, but has he chosen the Aston Martin so that he very much gets rid of the ailments of his favourite car? Doesn't look like he's gaining a massive amount of time at the moment, and ends up 8/10 off. Probably not enough to make a move at any point as we head into the banking. We did briefly see a yellow flag in Sector 2 a minute ago. It looks like Samuel Garrett maybe coming onto NASCAR 1, and he just loses the back end. Ooh, and just about saves it from going onto the banking and being a very big obstacle. Now, let's head back to the live action with Stephen Norrie and Joe Harrison. Second behind now. Joe Harrison actually managing to make quite the gap, but Lucas Antunes wanting to get that time back. He lost from his slowdown, heading alongside Stephen, and he's in front as we head across the start-finish line. Is he going to hold it as we head into turn 1? Yes, he is, sweeping across the front nose. And he does not need a second chance to get back past that purple and silver machine. He's left the door open slightly, and Stephen is still very much on his tail. Is he going to try anything as we head into the turn? Oh, I think he gave a little love tap there onto Lucas. No holds barred at all. And off we go with Lucas now heading down to take back that place from Joe Harrison.
Definitely looking like down the straights and in any sort of flat that the Aston Martin is losing a little bit of time there. We can see Lucas catch quite a bit in that last straight.
Yeah, indeed. It doesn't either part of the setup or part of the car is certainly not helping him down the straights. It feels like he's just kind of falling backwards at any given opportunity, as well as we're seeing a yellow flag in sector 2. I think, unfortunately, it might be Alexander Drake again who's got into trouble in that. He's heading really high up into the banking there, and he parks the car. I think he might well be calling that the end of his race 7 laps down. And Mats looks like he might have been in a crash here. Oh, it's going to be an airplane crash if it's happening here, and he goes sideways. Does he manage to keep it out? Well, he clips through that barrier there. Oh, but he's lost his rear wing on the wall. Oh, no, it's back. But it still doesn't look like a great state. Ah, and he spins it again. That is not what you particularly want to see, especially if you're in the pro class. And Mats has actually made his way into the pit lane, and that leaves him last of all the pro class drivers so far.
It's looking like Alex has pulled back onto the track. Now, I know he races in a VR headset, so I'm wondering if maybe he ran into some technical issues.
Yeah,
and had to pull off to the side to get that taken care of.
Yeah, that was a very strange kind of way he pulled up to the top of the circuit. So yeah, that's a good theory for particularly why he might have made that particular maneuver and pulled over, as Lucas, during our replays there, has managed to make his way past Joe Harrison again. All he has to do now is not lose it as we head down to the chicane with another slowdown.
It's looking like Lucas's own enemy this race is going to be himself inside that car. Whenever he can keep it on the track, he seems to be doing well.
Indeed, he is heading at quite some pace. He's managed to dispatch both Stephen and Harrison within a couple of laps.
He's building that time very quickly down that straight, even with the tow.
Indeed, and he's just cracked the 5-second barrier to be able to catch up to that kind of second pack of cars that we can see now. And that's certainly going to be interesting as we head through the next section of the race to go and see what he can do and whether he can indeed make his way back up towards that pack. Robin Wist is 10 seconds off the leaders now, and Tom Critchell has been pretty nicely chilling behind the 513 car in the lead. Doesn't look like he wants to slow that pack down. They've got a 10-second advantage. Why would you stop?
Yeah, he's sitting behind him. They're gathering time, and he's doing nothing but saving fuel. Why would you want to change that, right? Don't fix what's not broken.
Absolutely, I agree. And Lucas now pulling away half a second. He's got on Joe Harrison. And pulling round into NASCAR number 1. And yeah, he's pulling away quite nicely in that particular train, and might actually end up dragging them along if they're kind of sensible in the back.
If they're smart, I think that's what they'll do. They'll take that tow and they'll take the free ride to the next pack.
Indeed, on board with Thomas Critchell here. Is he going to be making a move for the lead? He's getting very close, and no, he's just kind of bumping David along there. I think that he is very much having a nice time as they pull away from Robin Wist. He's just chilling, saving some fuel, and pulling away from that pack, to be honest. I think He's not worried whatsoever about getting past into the lead at just this moment. He's still got an hour and a half left of this race, so I can't see much reason to be making audacious moves unless you are far at the back. And come round here. He does look like he has a little look, and oh, David has withdrawn from our screens and he's back again. That mustn't be super confidence inducing as you're heading at 200 plus miles an hour around this circuit, but looks like maybe it was a brief blip before heading back onto the track with us. And let's leave that battle now and see where we might have some overtakes here, as Harrison on the back of Costa. Costa is in the Pro-Am class and is currently leading that class by 0.4 of a second, but he is becoming a bit of a bottleneck for Harrison here, who wants to really be getting after his own class with Lucas in the 422 red machine in front. So is he going to make a move down to the bus stop to try and dispatch of him? No, he's just going to stay behind and hope to get that slipstream as we head back onto NASCAR 3 and 4 and down towards the first corner. He still looks quite far back. He might well be having some problems getting past Costa here, who was actually slower than the second place man in the Pro-Am class, Ian Kennigan, during qualifying, but has a healthy 3.8 seconds lead right now.
I think keeping yourself safe and, you know, keeping on the track is definitely going to do you well. It's one of those times where when things get as spicy as they did, if you can keep yourself clean, you're probably going to end up, you know, somewhere in the front of the pack there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking on my my display here, there has not been a collision or spin or any of the sorts on the circuit since we saw Matt in having a little spin at the bus stop chicane. So I think everyone's kind of calming themselves down now, realizing that there's still over an hour and a half left of this race, and it's certainly not one at the first corner, as a few of our drivers have already found out this evening.
Yep, I think everyone's kind of going to slip into their groove. We're going to see a nice little pocket of hopefully some clean runs here as we get towards that first pit stop.
Indeed, and being a 3-stop race, anybody who is stuck behind someone might be having a little bit of a think to wonder if they can't go in the pits and try and undercut them within the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. But it doesn't look like we've got Garcia into the pits. And a yellow flag in Sector 1. I think JT Sawyer might have just had a little bit of an adventure. In fact, a big adventure. He's lost 6 seconds. Just as I mentioned, there has not been a crash. What's happened here? That front of that McLaren doesn't look too great already. He's just off into the grass. Manages to keep it out of any walls. Of course, not too many walls that you can hit in that particular part of the track. And he's back on the circuit and going again. But not doing too well. And it looks like Garcia's been in the pits for quite a while.
Here he comes,
actually,
back out on the track now.
He's just come back onto the track, and that might well have been a fuel stop to try and undercut some of his AM class rivals.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the pit stops work out with all the incidents that happened in that first lap. I think that's going to throw, you know, some of that strategy out the window.
Indeed, and we saw there JT's car had quite a bit of damage to the front nose of that McLaren, and I can't imagine that it's going to be doing him too many favours, nor in the pit stops either. As we're seeing quite a few cars.
Garcia might have had an incident coming out of the
they are fresh out of the pits and potentially on those cold tyres. Does he go for a spin? Oh, that's a bit worse than a spin. That has been a real hit but actually doesn't look like a massive amount of damage unless he has wheel damage there. Can't particularly see. So
does not. It looks like it might be driving okay. One thing we have learned is the Aston Martin can be quite a bit of a tank if you hit it in the right spot.
yeah, well, I think some bad news might be coming his way because I've just seen he might have got involved in another incident, and we might be able to see that happening down at the bus stop here. Oh, I think he just cut the track to let those cars past, actually. I don't think that was particularly a crash. Just to make sure that is the case. Yeah, he was just letting those cars past. Fair enough. But Lucas, in that Lamborghini, he's gone for a bit of a ride, and he's ridden into the wall. That's a big moment for Lucas there. He's gone far too hot in that Lamborghini, and that looks like it's maybe ripped a wheel off of the rear, and he has towed himself back to the pit lane, and that's not gone well at all. He is out. He's got out of the car. Maybe decided he doesn't want any more to do with this race after that incident in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, it looks like he has had quite the fight with that car in this race. He might just be a little bit too tired, a little bit too worn out, and a little bit too done with this choice.
Indeed, we may well not be seeing him back with the Lamborghini in round 2 of this championship at the Nürburgring. It's a bit more of a twisty technical circuit, and that looks like potentially where he's been struggling with the Lamborghini. It looks like it's got all the speed in the straight line to pull away, but yeah, he's very much decided that it's not the car for him right now.
I'd know where I'd put my money.
Indeed. We've seen that Felix Mexner has managed to make up a place into P6. He's mid-pack currently in the Pro-Am class. Garcia is into the pits, and I think he might have picked up a bit more damage than it looks like from the outside in that particular collision. Not that he was particularly gaining on anyone, but he's definitely going to be a couple of laps down with that damage, I think. Now, this battle looks pretty stable, as always, as the top 2 in the Pro class, excuse me, are pulling away and have an 11.5 second lead on P3 in Pro. To be honest,
like this is just another drive to work for these guys, not having any struggles at all.
Indeed, it looks like that's kind of happening throughout the field a little bit. Oh, whoa! Tom in the wall of race second place has gone into the wall. That really has upset his race. What on earth happened there? Let's have a look back as we come down into the entry of the bus stop, and he just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't look like he's turning.
He just goes straight. I wonder if maybe something happened with his wheel.
It doesn't.
He's managed to. It does not look like anything threw him off or anything like that.
Did he maybe bounce off of that curb badly? Let's see if we can't have a look here. Let's go into cockpit cam and watch that back once again. Doesn't look like. Indeed, commentators curse. What the hell happened? I don't think we can see his wheel turning. No, he just lost the back end.
Oh, he just loses it.
He just lost the back end, and indeed, that has not gone very well for him at all. And indeed, that has not gone well for him, and I think he might have towed to the pit lane with that one as well. Indeed, he is in the pit, as well as Mikey R. Stewart, who looks like he's had a crash. Is it at the same location? Oh, he's just gone for a spin. Manages to keep it out the wall, though, unless he gets hit by another car. No, he manages to collect that up and be safe going there. But he is very much sat in the pit lane. As let's head out with now our third place car, who might have got a bit more fight in him in James Price, as we head round here. Corey Price, my apologies, as he is hunting down Robin Wist through the bus stop, and he is heading right up to the back of that Mercedes and flashing his lights as well to say, just so you know, I'm here and I might be going for a move into turn 1. But this has been a glorious moment for David Schilling in P1, who comes into the pit lane, probably the first of our scheduled pit stops, without any incident, and so does Corey Price. Is he going to try the undercut here on the car in front of him to see if he can't gain that place without having to pass on track? Is he going to take a little bit of less fuel potentially? What might he do as he comes into the pits, gets lifted up on the jacks, and he's going to sit for about 40 seconds to a minute there. So let's have a look at G here. He has certainly had an interesting race, and he is on the back of Michael. No, he's not. He is on the back of a different car there. I think actually that was Michael Rhodes. He's racing into the pit, and he's got himself a black flag into the pit lane. He's going to have to stop and hold, and that is for sure going to halt his progress forwards in this race. He was trying to regain after he had that incident at the start. That's not going to do him any well at all. I think
that's definitely going to be something to keep our eyes on as well with this new track layout. They've moved that pit entry about 3 cars back from where it was last season, and I think for a lot of drivers that's going to be something that maybe they didn't take into account or didn't practice this new entry. So I have a feeling we might see a couple more black flags coming as these pits hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to note there is that he was tucked up behind Michael Rhodes, who is the leader of the AM class, as he came into the pit lane, and I think he was probably a bit unsighted onto where exactly that line was, as we are watching Robin Wist, who's our race leader for now, come into the pit lane and make his pit stop. Just having a look now, it seems like everybody in that AM class, with the exception of the car 2 laps down 107, has made their pit stop. Joe Harrison comes into the pits, and I believe that is potentially everyone in the pro class as well who's made their pit stop. The first one of this race, 40 minutes in, so indeed definitely looking like a couple of pit stops in this race, as we have Ian Kennigan and Timo Gartner here having a bit of a race with Costa directly behind. Not sure how many of these cars have taken their pit stops just yet. It may be all of them, it may be none of them, but the leader is in, which makes me think it's only the leader who has not so far.
It's looking like mostly everyone has pit at this point. We've got Alexander Drake, who's going to be a little bit of a part of this race. His fuel is going to be way off now with that incident he had in lap 1 or so that put him in the pits for a good amount of time. Indeed,
and we've got Timo Gartner here racing alongside Ian Kennigan, and it's Timo who's ahead. And Costa going around there, who is blipping. No, it's not Costa, is it? It's a car from a different class. My apologies. Oh no, it is the same class. It's Drake, who's 8 laps down on these leaders that he's mixing with. So may well want to stay well out of their way.
It's definitely going to be interesting for him when he's on these nice, warm, grippy tires, and these guys are still kind of trying to get him warmed up. So we'll see if he can maintain or how he handles this.
Yeah, it can be super frustrating there, especially if you're, you're 8 laps down and you feel like you have the speed of the leaders and you could be right up with them. But unfortunately, it's not to be for him on this particular race. There's going to have to be some sort of miracle for him to end up back on the same lap as the leaders. As let's head on board now with Ian here, number 23, purple Porsche. He's got a pretty good run as we come out of the bus stop, and let's see if there isn't anything he can do as we head down to turn 1, flickering between 1/10 of a second behind. He's got the run, he's got the slipstream, both the Porsche here, so no car or bop difference. And he does look like he's just kind of struggling to make that pass. Is he going to be brave onto the brakes into turn 1 and try and do something? Or maybe the switch back, but he just gets blocked off there. No, he doesn't. He manages to make his own gap as we head through turn 1, 2 and 3 here, heading down to 4. Is he going to be the last of the late breakers to get around the outside? Doesn't particularly look like it. But as along the line here, this is for the lead of the Pro-Am class, and with it, quite a lot of points and a nice start to your championship. Indeed, he's got a real run. He's going to go down the inside here. He's squeezing, he's squeezing. It looks like he might have made it stick, actually.
Is just barely able to make that work.
And now Ian Kennigan is the chaser, but they're about to head onto the NASCAR section of the track. And of course, that's going to be advantage to Timo because he's going to get that lovely slipstream. But it looks like Ian's also getting a slipstream of one of the cars in front of him. I can't exactly identify who it is, but he's certainly not.
Spencer.
It is indeed, and actually, he lets them both past. And I think maybe Ian would have wanted him to stay in front for this particular section of the track so he could get a bit of a slipstream. But that is not to be. Indeed, not exactly sure what's happened to Spencer there, but he is now a lap down on the rest of the Pro-Am class. Didn't quite catch any incidents that he's got involved with. Might have had a bad pit stop of some sort, or maybe a pit penalty. And he's going around the outside.
With that speed.
Indeed, this is going to be a battle that I think is going to last for quite a lot of this race. Okay, continuing on now. Looks like Ian Kennigan has managed to get himself a little bit of a gap. So while that battle has calmed down a little bit, let's maybe bring up the whole of the standings so we can really get a picture of what is going on. And it's David Schilling who leads the way at the moment with a 14-second lead, followed by Rowan Wist, Bryce and Harrison, who have a pretty good gap between them, and then Ian Kennigan here, who is the leader of the Pro-Am class, followed by Timo Gartner and Costa in the number 11, and then we have the next gaggle of cars who are racing for those pro positions. We've got Pierce in number 57, Nori in 19, and Stewart in number 7 makes up our top 10. As you head further back, there's certainly a lot more of a mix of cars. Kind of not what I was expecting. I was expecting a big gaggle of pro cars to move away as we see Timo going for the move around the outside, Porsche on Porsche. As we head down into turn 1, he's got the lead for now, but it's only by a tenth of a second. And he's made it stick into turn 1. I think this battle may well be going back and forth for quite some while.
It'll be interesting to see if they can gather it together and see who pulls out front.
Indeed. They've kind of got Costa behind them directly, but no one else particularly close in their own class. If I bring up the gaps here, looking like, yeah, they're close to 20 seconds behind the rest of their class, so these three can very much continue fighting together.
I think you said it before, it is very interesting to see how these classes have kind of mixed up and spread out into their packs. I think that draft is really going to kind of start to separate and clump these people up, and it is very interesting to see the amount of pro drivers that have actually kind of fallen back into the mix.
Yeah, indeed. We can see from the standings there, we've got 3 drivers out of this race, and 2 of them are from the Pro class. Not particularly what I was expecting. Of course, if they don't finish the race, they're not going to be scoring any points at all. Even if you're finishing last, we're looking, you know, 12 drivers per class or so, and you'd still score some good points just tootling around at the back. But obviously they've decided that they don't want to be doing that, as Timo here has got in front of the Pro class driver of Joe Harrison, and that is going to do him very nicely in that battle for P1. If he can pull this move off, and he can, pulling in front of Joe there, because now there's a car in between him and the 2 people who are fighting him for the lead. And very interesting to see these guys really using that traffic to their advantage. Let's have a little look. Is anybody going to be challenging Joe Harrison? Or is Joe Harrison going to be wanting that place off of Timo? Of course, there is no positions or points to be gained by passing him, but it is going to slow any particular efforts he was using to try and get up to the 85 car of Price and get onto that all-important podium. Into the bus stop. Looks like he's staying pretty nicely behind the Pro-Am class driver of Timo, and that will do him very nicely indeed, as he now looks like he's a second or so in front. Yeah, looks like
a little wiggle for Ian.
Indeed. Looks like we might be having a few issues with the connection to the stream there. Give me a few moments and I will just try and sort that out. Zach, if you follow the action while I'm doing that, that would be perfect.
That's what we're here for. Ian had a little wiggle. Joe's closing in that gap. We'll see if he can get a nice run onto the back straight here. Everything's looking like it might have calmed down and spread out.
Okay, hopefully we should have some more consistent streaming there. Apologies. First round, everything's going to shake itself out eventually as we find all the issues as we go along here. But hopefully should be working a little bit better now, I hope. At least looks a little bit better on my end. Hopefully it is for everyone else.
On my end over here as well.
Perfect.
All right.
So Timo now has pulled about a second gap, and he might be able to use that lack of slipstream for everyone else in order to pull away and get away from the fight that looks like it might be erupting behind him. Let's go back to the last standings if we can't, and we can. And yeah, that second gap is going quite nicely, I think. And just needs to extend it by just a little bit in order to get out of that slipstream. Now, haven't spoken much about the AM class much this evening. Michael Rhodes, currently the leader of that class. He's just driven himself off the road there, quite ironically, and but has a quite sufficient 16.5 second lead as he heads round turn number 4 there, and doesn't look to be troubled whatsoever. And yeah, that's gone quite nicely for him.
It looks like the
indeed.
gaps between the AM class are pretty large there, so it looks like they've all found themselves a nice little pocket to run in.
Yeah, and if we bring up once again the standings here, they don't really have anybody in their way. They're just kind of all spread out, potentially from some of those first lap incidents. As looks like Costa and Kennigan might be coming together slowly, and Gartner getting that 1.3 second lead almost out of the slipstream. And talking of big gaps, Thomas Critchell from second place, and at one point the lead of this race, now 2 laps down. You can't help but feel that he is going to have a tough time getting back towards those podium spots. In fact, I think he might be 2 laps down on his closest rival as well. Indeed he is. So might well be just going around for the points at this moment in time.
I think you might be right. There's still an hour left of this race, so definitely some mistakes that can be made, something that can happen. As long as he keeps making those laps, there's a potential to move up any places there.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make up any more places in this race.
Definitely going to be feeling that when he heads home today.
Yeah, he's going to be incredibly disappointed. He was thinking the Porsche was a fast car around this circuit, and it was. And looks like from what is all of his fault, has managed to end it in the wall, while his what's going to be likely his championship rival in the 513 car has a 15-second lead over the next fastest car, as manages to get past the number 57 car there, who is not going to race him so much because he is 2 laps in front. Now, for anybody watching on twitch.tv, we have to run our 1 minute 30 second mandatory ad break. We're also live on YouTube if you don't want to go through those ads, but we will see you all in just a moment if you're watching over there. And everybody else, we
looking like Matthew Carter might have gotten a black flag going into the pits. I wonder if it's another situation of miscalculating that entrance.
Indeed, that moved line. He's got a black flag and he's in the pits. Probably not for incident points at this moment in time. And if he does have a penalty for that, he's in big trouble. But yeah, it looks like it's likely coming from the pit lane. Let's have a little look here while there's not so many close battles on the track. I can see that Matthew Carter has had a crash of some sort. Let's see what happened here. He's behind the 2 cars. Oh, and he just spins it all by himself there. But lucky not to collect anyone. And then in the Pro-Am class, Richard in the 999 car. It's going to be a classic turn 1 spin. Yes, it is, unfortunately. A little scrape of the wall. And slams it in reverse, but doesn't look like it's done too much damage at all, luckily for him.
Looks like there wasn't too much traffic going into there either, so he was able to get that straightened out pretty quick.
Indeed, everyone kind of spread out quite nicely now. It means that they're not going to encounter too much traffic if they do indeed have an incident. Let's have a look. It looks like Costa on the track is our closest battle right now, who's chasing down Ian Cunningham in that Pro-Am class for second place. Timo Gartner, as we were mentioning earlier, 2-second lead now, certainly has a nice gap that he seems to be extending now that he doesn't have Ian in his slipstream. And oh, Zhao is off the track and he's gone for a bit of a spin. And yeah, that is not doing him any favours in third place, as there we see our former second place of the entire race, Thomas Critchell, making his way through and actually unlapping himself on Zhao. But that is, it seems to be anyone we're riding on board with right now. Doesn't seem to be having a great time for spins during this race, and he has lost 8 seconds from that. So he's going to have to put in a monumental effort as we're heading towards the last hour of this race in order to catch back up and try and take that second place. But he does have a nice 14-second gap behind him, so as long as he doesn't have any more incidents, I think we can expect a podium finish if the pace stays as it is right now. And actually, just looking here, looks like Carter has managed to get himself out of the car and has given up on this race, which leaves us on a total, as it stands, of 5 finishers in that AM class. Not going particularly well for all of our drivers this evening.
You know, it's that first race into the season. The temperatures get really cold out here at night. I'm sure a lot of these drivers weren't expecting some of the track surfaces that they got faced with. It can be quite a tough battle for someone who's not as experienced as some of these higher rated drivers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our practice sessions have been in kind of the late afternoon, evening time. And yeah, they've kind of maybe not prepared too much for these colder track temperatures, and especially when you come out of the pits and the track is this cold, on cold tyres, you're really in for a bad time, as I think we saw for the 107 car a bit earlier in the race. And João Costa here is actually having a little bit of a race with Thomas Critchell, but not for long, as the Porsche makes his way off through NASCAR 1 and 2, and there's a bit of flashing, maybe not super happy with whatever moves has been happening down there. What I will say is it looks like the entirety of our Pro-Am class, as far as I can see, is still running. Even Drake in the 37 car, he's 8 laps down. And of course, you've got to be in it to win it, and those points might make quite the difference as we head to the next rounds and into the championship. Of course, only six rounds in this championship, so losing one of them, of course you get a drop round, but losing one of them, as João Costa is really trying to make his way through on Thomas Critchell, who doesn't want to let him pass because it's going to slow down any sort of progress he's trying to make on Stephen Nouri, who is the car in front of him. Now, I've heard from the medical delegates, and it looks like Lucas is able to speak with us now. We're just going to bring him into the commentary booth. And Lucas, who's out of this race, the first retiree in the Pro class, not having a great day with that McLaren? That McLaren? My apologies, Lamborghini.
No, it was not fun. Leading up to the race as well in practice, I didn't enjoy it. And I thought maybe in a race scenario I can pull it together, but unfortunately.
Is this going to be a change of car for you for the rest of the season?
I'm still debating it. If I'd change, I'd go to the Aston, but I saw that being quite slow down the straights, and I need to look into the bop and everything, but probably, yeah.
Probably. What's been such an issue with the Lamborghini? We saw you being quite fast down the straights, but the bus stop looked like it's been quite the issue for you, so you're cutting it a few times. Has that been the problem?
Yeah, it's anything on throttle where the car just likes to spin out. Like I got everything else dialed in during practice, but the bus stop just the bumps. If I take it just a tiny bit offline, it just spits you out into a wall.
Yeah, now that's not been too great for your championship campaign. How we have seen Matt and Tom Critchell could be considered close championship challengers, both having difficulties today that maybe we didn't expect in the Pro class. Has there anything kind of changed from the practice session that's caused them to have any issues, or purely skill?
go with the vent, and it's probably just a skill issue on their end.
All right. Well,
I guess.
you've heard it. You've heard it.
Same as on my end.
You've heard it here first, and I'm sure they will very much repay the favors to you if you're the one to crash out and they're out in the front leading. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Lucas. Hopefully Nürburgring goes a bit better for you, and maybe we will see you in that Aston Martin. Zach, you got any questions for Lucas?
No, I think you got them all covered for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lucas. We'll let you go, and we'll finish on with just under 1 hour to go in this race. Thank you very much, and good luck.
See you guys.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, he fully putting the blame on himself and the car there, but no external factors at play, no equipment or connection issues for him. Just a skill issue, as he declared for Matt and Tom Critchell as well, who hopefully we'll be able to speak to after the race and get their perspective on whether they think the same. As Costa from P3 in the Pro-Am class makes their way into the pit lane for their second pit stop of this race. Now, as far as I can see, they are the first car who hasn't had damage to come into the pits. Do you think they're undercutting? Do you think he's trying to get a bit of clean track away from Tom Critchell there?
My guess is he's trying to look for a little bit of clean air. It looked like those two were getting a little close in the end, and the racing was getting a little tight. So I guess he wants some clean air to try to make up some of that time and not lose so much in that battle.
Indeed, as we're looking here, Costa, everyone passing in the pit. But we've got Jeffrey Damon here in P5, who is right on the back of Felix Mexner in that Porsche there. And then right on the back of him, we've got the 999 car, all in a little bit of a scrap here, ready for a battle, which might well get car-tailed if one of them decides to go into the pit lane. But for now, they're all within 3/10. And let's see what might happen as we head into the draft zone that is the NASCAR section of the track. Is anyone going to try a move? Are they going to play it safe with 57 minutes to go?
This will definitely be an interesting one. It looks like between 4, 5, and 6, they are each a lap off of each other in the pit strategy. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out when we get closer to those pits and who stays out and who goes in. Indeed. We riding on board here doesn't look close enough to make a move, but really is getting on the back of that Martini Porsche, but maybe not getting the drive he wanted, but is still gaining as we head down towards turn 1. And yeah, that's a very interesting point that maybe we haven't seen play out just yet. But if you're able to extend by a lap on your pit strategy, your final pit stop is going to be shorter, and that means you're able to gain a good couple of seconds over your closest rivals in those pit stops. It's definitely going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out. That one lap could be the difference in this little race we got going on here.
Indeed, and Felix Mexner there is in the Porsche. Now, it's actually one of the better cars in the field of heating its tyres up, which is also going to make an important difference if you do decide to change tyres and make that change, try and get something fresher at the end of the race. But the Porsche is really good at setting up that tyres, and I wonder if that's in the back of Jeffrey's mind as he's thinking, do I take tyres for this pit stop? Am I going to be able to heat them up in time? Or is Felix in front going to end up heating his tyres up so much quicker and run away, maybe not even change his tyres at all? All to play for in the last 55 minutes of the first round here of the DWR Endurance Championship. Currently watching the battle for 4th in the Pro-Am class. We've got Mexner, we've got Damon, we've got the 999 car, who's just kind of looking at the rear of these two. and hoping maybe they crash into each other and sail straight through. Wouldn't that be a treat for his race? And we're looking here at anybody potentially making a move in turn 1, or are these two cars behind just going to save a bit of fuel to be able to go further? Costa, who was doing quite well in this race, got to slow down and is 8th there. In fact, I'll correct myself, he's the only one of this class who's been in for a pit stop. But that slowdown still not going to happen as Jeffrey Damon looks around the outside. Is he going to make any sort of move? No, I think he's just too far back to do anything. And they are, as you were. Ullman, who we haven't seen much in this race, number 12 car, heads into the pit lane for his, what must be, second stop of this race. And these couple of cars, who I thought might have been working together, are starting to get quite a race on, especially Jeffrey here as he looks round the outside. Is he going to cut back? No, the Mercedes doesn't look like it's particularly going to be able to challenge him as we head back up here. And
Porsche is going to
hoping
be
for a bit
a hard
of
challenge
slipstream.
going into those corners as well, especially for the Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see, actually, that Porsche has managed to make a little bit of a gap into NASCAR 1. And there's a real battle going on here as we head into the chicane. And just kind of looking like they're racing each other. But no one's managed to make a move stick just this yet. And it looks like they just kind of lose a bit, gain a bit, lose a bit, gain a bit all together. And when one drops off the back, as we've seen Jeffrey do here, they seem to catch up reasonably quickly in the zones that the other cars are good in. But could we see a move here? The 999 car really close to the back of Jeffrey. Is he going to try something into turn 1, or is he just going to kind of pull off? He's looking around the outside, almost touching his rear end, but looks like he's backed off quite early there and may well just be saving some fuel to be able to do the overcut, or perhaps he took some less fuel in the last pit stops and he's trying to get himself back up to where he should be. Head round the International Horseshoe there, and doesn't look like there's going to be any massive movement going on. I think we might have seen Mike Rhodes into the pit lane during all of that as well, because he's dropped down to P3, but hasn't seemingly had any incidents to cause that, so he might be on a different pit strategy from the rest of that AM class. And we're rapidly approaching the closing stages of this race. Biggest battle on track now. Felix Mexner, Jeffrey Damon look like they are the favourites here for P4 and 5. They're 18 seconds off of the podium of the Pro-Am class, so I don't think they're going to be going too far, and I think this battle might be simmering down in just a moment because Jeffrey Damon, he's got a slowdown coming out of the bus stop chicane. And indeed, that has cost him quite a lot, as we are seeing Mexner into the pit lane and Jeffrey getting passed by Sevilda in the 999, and he has lost that position quite comprehensively. And now he's got to hope that there's some bad pit stops further back in order to get him back and up into those near podium places. Indeed, it looks very much like it is the second round of pit stops for most people are starting to happen now, and actually quite quickly Costa seems to be pulling up on the back of this battle, and they won't want to fight too hard, at least he'll be hoping so, otherwise he's going to end up getting slowed down by quite a lot during this particular fight. Now Richard here is he going to be able to do anything to move him up places? Well, because it does look like he's been saving fuel on the back of Jeffrey for quite a while now. And indeed, apologies, it's Richard who's in front. Of course, they got switched over from that slowdown. But Jeffrey behind, he might choose to head into the pit lane at this point in order to not have the fight. Let's see if anything happens. Heading round the banking. Is either one of them going to take to the pit lane? Jeffrey takes a little look, but no, and it's Richard who's... it's Jeffrey who's coming on now, right up to the back, looking down the inside. We're going to have a pass here into turn 1. Yes, we are. And Jeffrey manages to make that place back up in the Pro-Am class. And looks like Hajek in the 699 has head into the pit lane for his second stop of this race. And we've got Mikey Stewart into the pit lane as well. He drops to 7th place, and the leaders of the Pro class look very much like they're heading in as well. David Schilling in. Let's just have a look, and Robin Wist is in, and James Price is in. They're all coming in to the pit lane now. But there's quite a big gap in terms of lap time between them. Ian Kennigan in. Looks like he only just managed to get that slowed down. And Timo Gartner is also in the pit lane. It's all happening down there. Looks like everyone's on their scheduled stops. Does that sound right to you, Zach?
Yep, everyone's looking like they're coming right on the dot at 20 laps. It's looking like Jeffrey is coming in this lap, and depending on how Richard pulls it, it's looking like he might have enough fuel for another lap to hit his 20. So if he can do that, he'll keep himself out in front of Jeffrey and get himself an extra lap into the next stint.
Indeed, and now this is going to be super interesting and super important for all of these guys' race. Yeah, it looks like Jeffrey into the pits now. Richard able to go for another lap. If Jeffrey is taking a new set of tyres, of course, Richard is really going to have an advantage there, because if he stays on the warm tyres or just stays out this lap, he's got an extra lap on those warm tyres and could potentially kind of become a blockade in Jeffrey's march forwards as he heads round turn number 4. Timo Gartner, and now all the pit stops getting out of the way, is in the lead. Of course, Richard's still to pit, so Kennigan's still behind him. But it looks like Timo's managed to get himself about an 8-second lead in class. Let's just confirm that, yeah, 7.5 seconds. That's quite the difference than we were seeing maybe 20 to 30 minutes ago.
Seems like once he got out of that pack, he was able to really lock in and get himself a lot of time from the group there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a slipstream, and it shows you how important the draft really is around this track. When you're, fighting with everyone, and then you end up in that kind of, out of that 1.2 second window, then the gap really does make the difference around here. Now we're expecting Richard to come into the pit lane on this lap, unless he's managed to save a load behind that pack. And indeed I was right, Michael Rhodes pitted quite early because he's regained the lead of the AM class while his compatriots are in the pit lane now. And seeing that right, Richard's going for another lap.
Very nice. He was able to pull out a 21 lap stint. I think he's the only driver that I've seen that has actually been able to pull that one off.
Indeed, he's managed to eke those laps of fuel out by just kind of chilling behind that battle that was happening in front of him, and it may well have worked out quite well, as he's currently chilling 3 seconds off of the class lead, Now, of course, that's not going to stay that way once he does come into the pit lane, but laps on those warm tyres, not having to reacquaint himself with the heavier fuel loads, he might actually make his way out the front of that battle.
I think you might be right. Getting that extra lap on those warm tires and the light tank when everyone else is trying to warm up their slicks, that's going to give him a big advantage in time.
Indeed, and kind of notwithstanding the fact that he's in clear air right now, he hasn't had to worry about dropping back and letting people through of different classes. He's just managed to kind of sit here, no one particularly in front of him challenging and no one behind, certainly. He's just managed to kind of chill quite nicely in the middle of this pack. And is he going to come out in the pit lane this time, or is he going to do a 30-lap stint? No, he's not. He is coming into the pit lane nice before that line, which indeed has been moved forward. And now I have to say I am quite intrigued to see where he comes out in this race. But it's going to be a 40-second pit stop or so we will not stay on board with him for that time, but we will keep our eye on where he comes out in the pack, expecting him to come out in that little area with Damon and Mexner at the end of his stint. David here in the pro class, currently P2 behind Joe Harrison, who looks like he is offset slightly on his pit stops. Can't particularly remember if he had damage early in the race. Whoa, really going for a wheelie through there. And indeed, we're seeing that confirmation that Timo Gartner 7-second lead on the whole class now. That has worked well for him as Harrison does come into the pits. And Richard...
And to confirm, Harrison has beat the record. That was a 22-lap stint from him.
Wow, that has been quite the showing there. And let's bring ourselves back on board with Richard, who has managed to jump Felix Mexner in the pits. He is now 2.5 seconds behind Damon, so maybe that hasn't worked out perfectly for him, but it has gained him a position.
And definitely give him that free air, not having to be behind Mexner might give him what he needs to close that gap up and, not be caught in that traffic.
Absolutely. And we can see that from above now, that he has got a bit of a challenge to gain. However, we do know that his final pit stop is going to be shorter. My apologies. It's going to be shorter because he's managed to go that extra lap on fuel. But it does look like he could be challenged here by the Porsche, who may well have heated up his tyres a little bit faster and got more used to it. Having a look now, it looks like we've had a few incidents, which we will go to after we've seen. Is he going to lose out to Mexner? He moves aside. I wonder if his entire strategy this race is just to chill behind and save a bit of fuel and gain it all back in that final pit stop, because that didn't look challenging at all for an overtake down the back straight.
When you got a 23, almost, a little over 24-second gap, I think you can kind of make decisions like that other drivers normally can't, right? If you're trying to make up that 24-second gap, you don't have that luxury of, pulling over and letting a car pass just for fuel. But when you've got, all that air in front of you, you can kind of just hang out and, there's not a lot of stress on you to do anything important.
Yeah, that's very true. He's not particularly going to be challenged for that P7 position at this moment in time. Let's have a little look here. I can see that JT Sawyer potentially has been off the track. Still damage to the front nose of that McLaren, and that might be the reason that he's gone for that little spin there. But manages to regain it onto the track. Make sure that you've rejoined safely, JT. Everyone's moving up high to keep out of his way, just in case. But indeed, he does join the track safely.
That can be a tough corner too when you get into these later parts of the races. You get a lot of that, that dirty marbles and everything else that'll sit out there on the side, and you accelerate a little too early and you get caught in some of those, that debris on the inside of the outside, and it'll take that car around on you.
Yeah, absolutely. James Vernon, you can see there, who rejoined in front of Timo Gartner, who is not going to be too happy if he gets involved in an incident. And we've seen Alexander Drake potentially get involved in a bit of a spin. Looks like they're all struggling with the track conditions currently. Building up of marbles, and that track is just getting a bit colder.
Yeah, and especially, with that cold track, you get caught out in those marbles, and, the car is going to take you for a ride if you're not ready for it. It'll happen quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And just have a little look back at this battle. Looks like the 999 car is just happy to chill where they are.
Yeah, I think 100%. If I'm them and I've already done a 21 lap stint, you're ahead in strategy. Just, save more fuel, cut that last stop by even more, and, I think there's a good chance he might even come out and continue to gain time.
Indeed. Let's see anything happening on the track here. Looks like our closest battle that might be going on is Costa, who is in P6 but is in P3 of their class, who is 1.5 seconds behind Ian Callaghan. And well, this really is quite a show up for the books that Timo Gartner, P1 in that Pro-Am class, is currently running P3 overall. I can't say I expected that when we came into this race. It's quite impressive, I must say, to end up so far forward when there are so many fast, 4, 5, 6k iRacing drivers who are in this league. Robin Wist may well be wanting to get past Timo Gartner at some point, but for now he's 4.5 seconds behind. We're going to certainly have to put some work in order for that to happen.
To see how it goes. Timo's been really, really putting up a show today. Very surprised in what he's been able to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a reminder for everyone, we do have a DWR Leadership Driver of the Day, and now I do not get to make that call, but I think so far my driver of the day has been Timo in that 911 Porsche. He's very much put it towards the front of the pack overall, let alone his class.
I think I'd agree with you on that one.
And lapped traffic getting out of the way there, but Costa is now on the back of Ian here. He is not going to be sticking around for long, I think, in that position, because it looks like that Acura has some pace against the Porsche, certainly down the various straights around this circuit. Not particularly...
You definitely tell with a lot of confidence on those brakes that Acura is able to push that really late into the corner with some nice trail braking.
Indeed, and the Porsche, not the kindest car to its driver, so you sometimes have to second guess it a bit, and that could cost Ian in this particular battle as we watch them head down towards the bus stop. Don't think there's going to be any particular moves made here, but too far back. But you do want to just stay right on the back of that Porsche, and look how much confidence he has coming through there. He's 4 tenths behind, manages to lift the front wheels up a bit, and that's cost him a little bit, but that slipstream might be able to pay him back as we head around the banking. And that Porsche not looking the fastest car in a straight line, but is maintaining that gap at half a second until we head down here where he's gaining, but it sure just doesn't look like enough in order to make that pass into turn 1. He's going to have to wait at least until the bus stop again, I think, before he makes that move, and potentially moves forward on Timo Gartner, gap about 8 seconds. As you're looking about half an hour or so left of this race, you do think if he wants to head after the lead of this class, he is going to have to get past Kennigan pretty soon.
And those, as it gets closer to that checkered flag, those minutes turn into seconds, and that it speeds up on you. Before you know it, you blink an eye, there's 5 laps left, and you've got too much of a gap. So it's getting to the point now where these drivers really got to start thinking about where they want to be and what kind of moves they want to be making.
Yes, absolutely. And we saw a bit of commotion at the beginning of this race, but a lull in the middle maybe in terms of driver-to-driver contact or risky moves down the inside. But you look at that clock counting down, and you can't help but think to yourself as you're driving, well, if I don't do it this lap, that's another 2 minutes of my race time gone. And the more risky moves start coming out again, and we may well see some more absolute sends as we head into the dying half an hour of this race. I think I saw there the 47 car got a black flag and headed into the pits, but wasn't in the pits for super long. Might not have been a pit stop, I'm not certain. Yeah, I'm just seeing here that they got a black flag. I am not sure whether that was for incident points or not. That might well be our first driver to obtain enough incident points to get a drive-through penalty.
It's looking like that's what might have happened.
Yeah, indeed. I didn't see any particular notification to say they'd come into the pits before that penalty, so it wasn't a pit lane speeding. But indeed, there is a point on offer within each class for the fastest lap. There's also 1 point on offer for anybody who gets a 0x during this race. Now, I haven't been watching anybody particularly closely, but I would be incredibly surprised to see any driver left with 0 incident points at the end of this race, as it looks like Garcia in P5, the AM class, has parked up and decided not to continue with this race, being 3 laps behind their closest rival of JT Sawyer in P4. Heading once more into the bus stop, Yao Foster chasing down Ian Hennigan, who are both actually slowly making gains on the Pro-Am leader. I think the gap at one point was 8 seconds. It's down to 7 now between P1 and P2. So maybe if you're in that P3 car, you can think to yourself, well, maybe this isn't the time for the risky move and potentially take us 20 seconds off the lead. If I can chill behind, save a bit of fuel and get some pace for free, we could both catch them. But I think with a 7-second gap, that still might be quite the ask. Let's catch up with Timo, see where he is on the track. Actually, when you look at it from up above, we just head backwards to them there. You can see that's not much of a gap, but we've got a car off the track, and that is going to be Costa into the grass there, and doesn't look particularly happy with that car in front of him. Might have been forced off the track there, he feels, or maybe he sent it in to that corner. It looks like potentially he blipped out there. Ooh, and he got moved across the front of that car there. I want to have a little look a bit closer up and see what happened. He blips out, and that could be the cause of him getting a bit confused, and I feel like he just turns across the front of that 921 car there. But I'm not particularly sure if he knew he was there, because he did blip out for a few seconds.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe his spotter didn't come on and let him know that there was a car there, and
indeed, well, that
kind of allowed that to happen.
that has put a bit of a cork in his progression forwards on Ian Kennigan and on both of their progressions towards the Pro-Am leader, because he's now 3 seconds back and still behind that lapped car, who is Andy Keane there, I believe, in the Greg's sponsored livery. And now Thomas Critchell is coming onto the back of both of them. He is still 2 laps down on the class leader, so has probably made progress in time forward there, but hasn't particularly made any progress on getting himself unlapped. But he might be about to move in front of Costa here. He looks down the inside, but there is no particular room on this occasion, but I can't imagine he will be sticking behind him for too long. And everyone is actually reasonably well spaced out on the track here, apart from Felix Mexner here, if I can find him somewhere on the track. There we are. They're just coming around to the start-finish line now. It looks like the 999 car still chilling behind him, but hasn't made particular progress on Jeffrey Damon. In fact, they've moved backwards, so it might be time to get some elbows out and make some moves if he wants to move forward in this race. In the little pack of cars there that all look to be of different classes. Looks like potentially looking for some moves here, but hasn't made anything stick on Felix quite yet. In fact, he's getting passed by, I think that's Robin Wist there in the Aston Martin, if we can confirm. No, it's not. It is a different driver entirely. I'll try and work out who that is. I can read their number on the side. Schilling, indeed, it's the leader of the race overall and leader of the Pro class. Indeed, he won't want to be getting involved in any sort of incidents with any of these cars, really. He's lapping them. They're in a completely different class to him. There's nothing to gain, and well, the lead of this race to lose, so he won't want to be getting involved, and he'll want to dispatch of them reasonably quickly, but does have a 26-second gap on his next closest rival in Price, who's, you know, half a second is a quarter of the track away, so sorry, half a minute is half the track away, and he's not got a great rush in order to get past these cars. He's flashing his lights to let them know he's here, though, because you're not going to chill behind them for the whole race. And there he goes, nicely and clean pass. As we head into turn 1, the gaps kind of resume to where they were before he came across this group of cars. And yeah, they're chasing down Jeffrey Damon here, who is in that red Mercedes, but he is 6 seconds away, so I don't think there'll be too much challenging going on at this particular juncture in the race. They're going to have to find quite a bit of pace as we're into the final half an hour before they can get going. After him, once again, our viewers on twitch.tv, we are going to treat you, maybe not such a treat for an ad break. We are also live on YouTube. In fact, let's hold that ad break for just a moment, as we've got some potential action here heading down into turn 1. We wouldn't want to deprive you of it. Let's see as we head down into the bus stop. Richard looks like he's closer than he's ever been before, but not close enough to do any sort of send. Is he just going to try and stay close, or is he just chilling, saving fuel for the rest of this race? Doesn't look like they're really gaining on anyone, so it doesn't seem like there's too much point in saving any sort of fuel. Or maybe that car just doesn't have the pace down the straight that we think it does versus the Porsche. He is very, very close as we head past the pit entry. Is he going to make a move? He's looking to the outside. It does just look like he's staying and sticking with that kind of safe approach at the moment. Indeed, and he even drops back a little bit through turn 1 in that Corvette. He doesn't have the confidence, obviously, to make his way through there just at this moment. Ian Kennigan now, important in our battle for the lead of the Pro-Am class, has got himself a slow down penalty, and that is not going to be doing any favours in his pursuit of Timo Gartner. It got Robin Wist, my apologies, in between them now, and he is about 8 seconds back, and he's managed to lose at least a second from last time that we checked in on them, and might be running out of time to gain it back. Yeah, can't see any reason from getting that slowdown, but seeing as it happened as you head into the banking, I can only imagine it came from the bus stop chicane.
Yep, most likely cut one of those corners going on the exit for that slowdown. I know that the ending curve there can be quite a double when it comes to those off tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually the kind of nicest corner to cut. If you hit any of the curbs on any of the other section, you can be in the wall, as we saw from Thomas Critchell earlier. Actually, doesn't take too much to end up in the wall through there. Quite surprised that we've only seen a couple drivers go for a spin. I can see Robin Wiss just in the front of your picture. Well, not anymore, but we might be able to bring him back to you. He is going to have to be passed by Ian Kennigan if Ian is going to want to end up in P1 in this Pro-Am class, and coming up against a pro driver, especially Robin, might be quite difficult indeed. But kind of pushing forward slowly, but I think that gap, yeah, is now close to 9 seconds. I didn't exactly see how far it got down to after Ian's pushing, but it was definitely 7 at one point. So all of that work has been undone by that slowdown. Very harsh penalty. Not that Ian particularly has anybody to worry about behind him, as his nearest rival is 40 seconds behind. And you go a further 10 to 12 seconds back. Oh, that didn't look very nice. It just looked like a bit of a slide there that you had to pick up in the Porsche. And yeah, extended to 9.5 seconds. You might feel here that, that Ian's potentially not going to have enough time left to reach P1 in his class. But that is still an admirable effort there. I think he's P4 overall. And Damon's got past Costa there, but I think there has been a collision involved. Let's have a little look at what's happened as we head into turn 1. And oh, that's just a spin for the Acura. And that's undone. Quite a nice gap he had in that number 11 purple machine. And he's now in P5 in his class with a 5-second gap in front. That's not done him particularly well after what's been quite a good race for him. And in fact, you can see in the background there, Felix Mexner and the 999 car are right on his tail once again, as it was before the pit stops. That has been quite the change. Now, Zach, please do correct me if I'm wrong, but we are expecting another pit stop in this race, is that right? Looks like I don't have Zach there for whatever reason. He may well have gone to get a drink or whatnot. We will check back in with him in a minute to see what the pit stop strategy says, but I believe we're due another pit stop at some point during this race.
Hey, Lewis, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of technical difficulties with my mic.
No worries. Am I right in saying that there's another pit stop to go, or am I completely mistaken?
Let's see. I believe everyone is going to need at least one more splash for that last probably 5 or 10 minutes of racing.
Right, so that, I think, is going to add some interesting strategy, especially to this battle here for 5th, 6th and 7th in the Pro-Am class, because they are all very close together indeed now that, that Costa had that spin, and actually he's not a million miles away off Jeffrey Damon in P4, but if you can, if you can cut a lap of fuel off of that final pit stop, either by taking a bit of a risk under fueling, or by saving that fuel, as I believe that that's happening here, you'll be able to jump 2 or 3 seconds in the pit stops, and I think this battle may get very spicy at the end.
I think you're right there. Looking at the amount of laps these guys have left, it's all going to come down to that extra, lap that they were able to save on that second stop. I think those drivers that were able to extend that out, that 1 lap, that 2 laps, I think they're going to have a huge advantage when it comes into this last pit, with just not having to take that whole extra lap of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be completely correct. Hearing JT, as we've lost Felix for a moment there, and back again. Thought that might have been an easy ride. Hearing that JT might have had a bit of an incident. He's running last in this race in the AM class, and he just has a bit too much throttle in there and takes it for a spin where he did earlier. But not too much to lose, as he is a lap down on his closest rival. So, all looking safe out front for David in that 513 white car. He has a 30-second lead on his closest rival in this race, and a further 15 seconds back to Robin Wist, who's in P3 in that pro class. So I think I'd be getting ready for the champagne at this point. Doesn't look like, past that opening exchange with Thomas Critchell, that he has been particularly challenged in this race. It's kind of a shame, I think, because Tom was really on the back of him, obviously saving fuel and trying to build a gap, but it looked like he might have had the pace to give us an interesting fight at the front, and we may well have to wait until we head to the Nürburgring to see that particular battle resume. Of course, the competitive order of both cars and drivers can all change before them, but I can certainly say that there are a lot of drivers who will want to undo some of the issues that they've had, mainly those drivers who are out of the race.
100%. I think this first race is going to be kind of a reflection moment, right, for a lot of these drivers to figure out what they want to do, how they want to come back, and see if they can have a stronger second week. They do get a drop week, so they can come back with a stronger rest of the season, potentially lose this one out being their lowest one, but we'll have to see if they can pull it together.
Indeed, yeah, I think that indeed, having that option of a drop round is going to save a few championships here, especially 32 points for a win, as we saw earlier. If you're Tom Critchell, who thinks they might be up with the lead of the Pro Championship, just losing those 32 points straight away can be quite demoralising. But knowing that you can have this as a drop round is good, because it means you can come back, win, and be on the same number of points as the guy in first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely gives drivers a little bit of... Oh, it looks like we have an incident with James.
Oh, where are we looking? I can't see it particularly come up here. am seeing a few flashes of yellow flag, but I've seen Andy Keane has had an incident. And oh, okay, I have seen that incident as Andy Keane. Well, I don't think the back of that particular BMW is supposed to look like that. And
might be missing a few parts there on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. And that wing doesn't look great at all. I want to have another look from a different angle at that one, if I'm completely honest, to see exactly what happens. Let's see if we can get a blimp shot here. So he's following Michael Rhodes, who's leading the AM class, and oh, he just kind of goes into his back corner. And on such a fast section of the circuit, it's always going wrong there. And I don't think he would have had much warning for that either, if I'm honest. I want to get...
And it looked like that happened very, very quick, kind of hard to...
Indeed. Oh, there's just... You just don't have any time to do anything. You're in the wall and you're watching the guy who's just driven into you carry on down the circuit. And that mustn't be a good sight, as you see a set of headlights. But that is quite disappointing, I think, for Andy Keane as he heads into the pit lane. No, he's still on the track, and he's running P3 in that AM class. But JT Sawyer behind has come into his pit stop, so I think you kind of might be worth not sitting and repairing that damage so we can hold on to that P3. He's not exactly gaining in front.
It looks like his car is still handling at least semi-okay. So with the race only being 13 minutes left, he might be able to hold that gap and, you know, keep that P3 and just get it across the line.
Yeah, indeed. JT is, I think, at least a lap behind him. Oops, that's the wrong thing I want to do. He's 2 laps behind him, but of course JT has taken his pit stop. As we see Timo Gartner, Pro-Am leader, head into the pits, and David Schling, Pro leader, head into the pits as well. I think with that pit stop, there might even still be a lap difference, at which point, if you're able to keep it on the road without having too many more grills and spills, it's kind of worth just to stay with the damage, get a little bit repaired in your pit stop and carry on.
I think you're exactly right there.
Indeed. So Costa is back up behind Damon there. Mexner has gone a lap down in that Pro-Am class, but I think he might have pitted. Not 100% sure, because he was right in front of the 999 car, currently in P5, but I think he might have pitted, seeing as we know that Richard can go a lap longer.
Damon has not pit yet, from what I can see. He's still got about a lap to go.
Right. What about the... Felix is catching back up now as well, I think. I think because the lead is...
pit, he is on his out lap, so it looks like once Damon comes in, that gap will close up a little bit.
Indeed, and that fight happening in Pro-Am with Richard as well. Richard, we know, has been good on his fuel and is able to go a bit longer. That's really gonna get spicy there, I think.
I think so. I think as these last pits start to come through, we're going to see a lot of people bunching up, and we're going to get an idea on really how hard this last 10 minutes is going to be raced.
And we've got a car going down the inside there, not for position, so doesn't make it too difficult. Jeffrey Damon is now in the pit lane, and I think that fight is going to get quite interesting, especially if we go on board with Felix Mexner. Just got to find his name in my list of drivers. There he is, as he heads round the final corner. And Jeffrey Damon looks like he has come out of the pits, but I expect all of this time, is going to be gained back as we head round here into the pit lane, and he catches that gap back up. Is it going to be short enough in order to make any sort of challenge? No, it does not look like it is. I kind of thought before the pit stops they were reasonably close together, but now there is a 22-second gap. Maybe accidentally had tyres on for Felix and he's lost a load of time in the pit lane. I'm not too sure. Have to see how that shakes back out once Richard has done his pit stop, and we'll get a really good idea of where they are. And Stephen Norrie here challenging with Mikey Stewart, who looks like he might have just made his way through the bus stop here, fighting for that last place on the lead lap in the pro class. And it looks like Stephen might have got passed by Mikey Stewart there, because Stewart is running away with it. Although, we're seeing him come back slowly, it still doesn't look great for that Aston Martin on the straights, and it doesn't look like it has a massive amount of damage either. But Stephen is certainly not letting it go. Lots of points on offer, especially in that pro class there. We are...
Looks like Richard's coming around on his 19th lap. We'll see if he's going to squeeze out a 21-lap stint out of this one as well, or if he's going to come in at 20 and get that fuel in.
Indeed, and we're not looking like we're too far away from the end of this race. 9 minutes remain, and certainly an interesting one today. We've had a bit of spread out of gaps, we've had a bit of carnage, and we've also had some great racing. As we see, Stephen has now dropped 1 second back to Stewart there, so I think this might be the place he remains in before the end of the race, unless he has any luck on his side from a little spin or moment for Stewart. Have a little look back here. We haven't spoken much about the pro class, the AM class, but Michael Rhodes continues to lead it by a minute almost now. He has had a great race this evening, challenged by Vernon behind. 51 seconds is the gap, as Andy Keane does indeed come into the pit lane after that collision on the main straight. Would be surprised if he stays to repair much of that damage, because he does indeed have a 2-lap advantage to JT Sawyer. Tom Critchell keeping his reputation alive by getting a slow down penalty. Can't imagine that is anywhere apart from the bus stop, and probably has made himself quite ineligible for the 0x award in this race. In fact, I know he won't be, because he went into the barriers at some point.
Alright, it looks like Andy Keane's coming out on the track. Looking at his pit, he had about a 2.5 minute pit, so I think you're right. It looks like he did sit there and take some of that, some of those repairs and get some of that damage cleaned up.
Yeah, I think that possibly he wanted to make the car a bit more drivable, but he does, yes, he still has that 2-lap gap to JT in that quite shrunk AM class now. Half of the cars who started are going to finish and pick up some points, yeah, it's not cost him anything in getting that damage repaired. So 6.5 minutes remaining in this race. I am hoping that that we're going to see a spicy battle here, either between Stewart and Stephen, or, as we've just seen, Richard the 999 has made his way into the pit lane. Where is he going to come out in relation to the guy who's been fighting for the majority of this race, Felix Mexner? Where is he on the track, as he is still in the pit lane? Jeffrey Damon's going to get past him, but is he going to come out? Let's just have a look here. He's coming out onto the track. Can't see Felix behind him, but still on the pit limiter. Can see some light, and I think he's jumped Felix in the pit lane by quite a margin. I can't even see him down the track there.
It looks like they had about a 15-second difference in their pits.
Wow, that has been quite the show up for the 999 car, who is now sixth place in this race, in the Pro-Am class. And yeah, there's an 18 seconds gap. I wonder if Felix put too much fuel in, or felt like he had to change the tyres in his final pit stop, but that has really cost him in this race. So, looks like the battle to go to the end of the race might be Stephen versus Stuart. Let's head down to them now, if we can. There we are. We're on the other side of the track. Half a second between them, the closest gap anywhere on the track right now. They're competing for P6 and P7, and neither of them really have much to lose, because if you get damage at this stage in the race, well, from Stephen's perspective, he's got Tom Critchell 2 laps behind him. As long as you're not ending up with a meatball, I feel like you can take a few risks here, can't you?
I think so. With 4 minutes left, you gotta start making those hard decisions and decide how much you want to raise that risk level for that position, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, it's an endurance race, and you've got to really reason about when you're making moves. And with 3.5 minutes to go, this is absolutely the time that you need to be able to kind of just go for it. Will it end up in the steward's room later? Who knows? But when you're on the track, you're watching such a small amount of time count down in this race, you feel like you really have to go for it.
I think 100%. If you've got any amount of room, any thought of a space, then I think at this point you're taking it. You're putting your nose in there and you're seeing what sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. In Stephen's case, he really needs to get a good bus stop here for a chance of sending anything down turn 1. To me, it looks like he's got a pretty good bus stop through there. He's gaining time. He's 4 tenths behind. Does that Aston Martin have the pace to get him down in front of Mikey Stewart? We see the gap. It's coming down 3 tenths of a second now. This is the place that you can really gain. Coming down to 2 tenths of a second as we head into turn 1, into the final dying moments of this race. He gets within a tenth, but he doesn't seem to make any sort of move. He really is on the back of that car, though. Is he biding his time, not showing his cards too early before we head into the final lap of this race? Is he just going to try and send something right at the end where you don't have a chance to get it back? Because, of course, once you've sent it down the inside, you're a little bit on the back foot trying to get yourself back in place. I feel like you can get that place back straight on the banking again, especially in that Lamborghini that, as we saw in the hands of Lucas Diaz, is able to get quite the speed down the straight. All about timing now. He's got to really keep himself in close against that number 7 of Mikey Stewart. We head to the rear wing now. You can just see him edging just a bit closer, but he's going to have to be good on the brakes here as we head into the bus stop chicane. Heavy on the brakes. We can see Stephen flashing his light, saying, I'm here and I'm not afraid to send a move whatsoever. Oh, but he's picked up quite the launch on the exit there, and I think he's lost. Yeah, he's lost almost a second there. And do we feel like that could possibly be the end of Stephen's assault on Stewart here?
Might be it for him. Almost a little over a second and a half back. He's essentially out of that draft now. So unless Mikey makes some sort of mistake with this little time left, he might have just lost his opportunity at that position.
Yeah, it's dropped back to almost 2 seconds now. I can't help but feel that his last opportunity has It's kind of faded away from him there, from that little hook that that got him on the exit of the bus stop, and all of that time that he's built up trying to stick behind Stewart there has all been undone in the dying moment of this race.
Yeah, but looks like now it's growing a little over 2 seconds. It looks like he may have lost his cool a little bit with that last jump, and it seems like now he's just leaking some of that time away over this lap.
Indeed. As we see him come around the last corner, yeah, it's 2 seconds now, the gap. As we head on with David Schilling here, who is rounding the banking as he comes past the pit entry. Oh, sorry, that is not the pit entry. I have misplaced where I am on track. He is going through the chicane there. That's what I get for having a too zoomed in camera. Now he's coming round the final corner of this particular lap. And I do believe that he might be coming round to see the checkered flag and become the first pro winner. He's flashing his light. And there we have it. The checkered flag as David Schilling crosses the line to become the first winner in the pro class for the DWR Endurance Championship. He absolutely has to be proud of that particular race. He has been absolutely dominant. Had a bit of a tussle with Thomas Critchell excuse me, at the beginning of the race, but yeah, he really did dominate that one. And taking a victory lap there, absolutely well deserved. So we see Felix Mexner come across the line, and there's a battle coming across the line as they all finish. Timo Gartner is in first place for the Pro-Am class. And Ian Kennigan comes home P2. Looks like Michael Rose come home to be at P1 in the AM class. And Tom Critchell, 2 laps down, is finishing in 8th position. Stephen Norrie has been lapped in this race. So actually, he ended up not being able to get Stewart there. He must have let the car through. And everyone coming across the line for their final positions. Well, Zach, that's been quite a race, don't you think?
It's definitely more exciting than I think I was ready for. We got set up with a really interesting lap 1 that made for some spicy racing throughout. I think that first 20 minutes was definitely more exciting than we were planning for.
Yeah, absolutely. As everyone's pulling off the edge of the track now, looks like everybody has indeed finished who was still running on the track. A few cars going around for their victory laps. Well, with that one there, let's hope. This is the first time I have tried this, so it may all go very wrong. Let's bring up the podium for the Pro class. So we see David Schilling there on P1 in that Chevrolet, followed up by Corey Price in P2 and Rowan Wist in P3. Moving on now to the Pro-Am class, it's Timo Gartner who takes P1, Ian Hennigan in P2 and Yao Costa in P3. And then finally with the AM class, it is Michael Rhodes who takes the victory with James Vernon in P2 and Andy Keane in P3.
I think I'd say that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring up the, no, not the standings, we want the race results, please. So, as we see there, David Schling takes on P1 in the Pro Class, followed by Corey Price and Robin Wist. I'm getting reports here that Robin Wist and David got a 0x. I'm going to have to double check that before we include that in the championship results. But I will be incredibly shocked and surprised if they both manage to get through 2 hours with 0x. Following down, we got Joe Harrison in P4. He finished just over a minute off the leader. Mikey Stewart in P5. James Pierce makes up P6. And Stephen Norrie in P7. Thomas Critchell, 2 laps down after that unfortunate smash into the wall at the bus stop, finishes in P8. And Mats finishes in P9, 4 laps down, the last of our finishers on the road. Michael Gee scores no points in P10 for not finishing the race, as well as Lucas Diaz Antunes, who also finished and spoke to us earlier in the stream. In the Pro-Am class, Timo Gartner takes the win with Ian Kennigan 6 seconds behind with the fastest lap. Again, we'll have to check on that 0x if it's real. Very impressive if true. João Costa follows up in P3 at the end of the podium, and the last of the Pro-Am drivers on the lead lap. Sebastian in P4 in the 699 follows up, 19 points for him, followed by Jeffrey Damon on 17 points in the 313 car. Richard in the 999, who were following for a lot of the race, ends up in P6, followed by Felix Mexner, who we think added some extra fuel at that final pit stop in P7. Sven in P8 in the 12 car, 1 lap down. And 5 laps down, quite far behind in 9th, will be Samuel, the last to score 12 points. Spencer in P10 is scoring none from not finishing the race, followed up by Alexander Drake, who is 9 laps down, finished behind Spencer on the road, but picks up 11 points for finishing the race. Looking at our shortened AM class now, Michael Rhodes gets the fastest lap and P1, 33 points, the most he can get from this round without a 0x. Sets off his championship ambitions quite well. James Vernon behind, 1 lap down. Andy Keane is on 2 laps down, and JT Sawyer, the last of our finishers in the road, picks up 19 points. That rounds up the championship standings and the race results. No specific standings this week while we confirm the results and go to the stewards room, but we will at the start of next week's event be able to give you the full championship standings after any stewards' decisions. I can see a hell of a lot of people who have queued their way up into the cool-down room, ready to be interviewed. Let's have
just to put out there before we leave, I can confirm David Schilling, Robin Wist, and Ian Kinnigan got 0x during this race.
And that is completely confirmed. It's not just my overlays being wrong.
That is in the iRacing entries.
Wow, that, I have to say, is incredibly impressive. Getting 0x over the entirety of a 2-hour race is mighty impressive. Mikey was going to join us to announce his driver of the day, but unfortunately has been called away on work. But the DWR leadership, there you go, I knew the word was in there somewhere, driver of the day is Timo Gartner, who, as we remarked, won his class. Not only that, if we switch over the results, ended up in P4 overall, being in that Pro-Am class. I have to say, that's quite impressive. And definitely would have been my vote of driver of the day if I had one. And yeah, let us first, we're not going to be able to get through everyone, unfortunately. Let me just bring everybody who wants to talk to us up. I would like to speak first to Michael Rhodes, who was the winner of the AM class. Let's talk to Mike now. Mike, tell us about your race.
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting to do so well, if I was honest. Qualifying was a bit worrying, but yeah, I just kept out of trouble, kept it on the track for once, and I ended up seeming to be winning apparently. So I'll take it.
It looked like there was a lot of incidents there, more than we possibly saw. Was it kind of a difficult race out there to keep clean?
At the start, yes. Because a few people obviously spinning out, especially in the normal corners like bus stop and turn one and all that, and obviously the cold tires. So it was fun having extra chicanes on the track to dodge, but thankfully I didn't hit anyone.
Well, that's very good. Looked pretty chill in terms of positions, though. Worried at any point that you were going to lose that P1?
Potentially after the first stop, because I forgot to click refuel on the fuel.
That will be a problem.
That would be a problem, because I was sitting in the pit going, why am I not fueling? But no, apart from that, not really. I was just making sure I just kept clean. I wasn't too fussed about being quick. It was just stay alive and keep the gap ahead, and luckily I was able to do that.
Absolutely. And you weren't one of them, but I was pretty surprised that a couple of our drivers out there managed to get 0x. How difficult would have that been to achieve while also winning the race?
It wasn't. To be fair, I'm quite happy with the amount of X I got. I think I got 8, but I would say about 4 because I got a random 4X from someone blipping in and out when he spun. But surprisingly, I kept it clean, which was very surprising, especially with the new bus stop layout that's come on this track. I think I had one moment where I nearly I could have been out of the race if I didn't miss the nice little tire wall that has popped up on that last bit of the chicane. So
yeah, I have to say I'm quite surprised that more people didn't end up being victims of that chicane. We saw Tom Critchell who ended up dying quite horribly into that wall after a few laps. But well, congratulations, Mike! What a great start to your championship. We're going to be seeing you not next Sunday, the Sunday after at the Nürburgring.
Yep, absolutely, 100%.
Wonderful stuff. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Mike. Have a wonderful evening. Now, the next person I want to talk to is one of those 0x finishers in Ian. He finished P2 in his class, but I think finishing with 0x is quite impressive. Let's drag Ian in now. How's your race been with that 0x finish? I'm seriously impressed.
Well, I made up for a little bit by having 10x in qualifying. Yeah, I'm delighted with that. Great pace throughout. Had a terrible qualifying start in 19th, and I was hoping to maybe break into the top 10 and try just get as far up the rankings in Pro-Am as I could. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, finishing P5 overall and second in your class is absolutely nothing that can be taken away from you. But just how close were you holding onto that steering wheel in those last few laps, trying not to get that 1x out of the bus stop?
Well, it was more the first hour I was jittery. Just I had a monster before race, and my heart was just beating out my chest. I was actually doing deep breathing exercises to try calm down for like the first 45 minutes. Last half hour was chill because I was kind of just driving on my own.
Yeah, absolutely. You finished, just looking here, just under 10 seconds behind Timo in P1. Do you see a championship challenge with him as the season goes on?
I hope so, yeah. Timo was very good. We had a nice little battle there after the first pit stop for like 4 or 5 laps, but he just had the better pace, more consistent, and he was able to get away from me.
Absolutely.
So I just concentrate on keep putting in good laps and try keep Joe Costa behind me. Luckily, he kept making mistakes behind.
Yeah, we saw a few different little incidents that he had, as well as a few slowdowns coming out of the bus stop. Looked like a few incidents in that race. Maybe we didn't catch all of them. Did you ever feel that kind of podium was at risk once you'd settled there after a few cars spinning out and driving across the grass, or did you feel pretty secure at the end?
I was pretty happy. I was comfortable driving my own pace. I was just banging in the laps. I felt like I was in the zone pretty much.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations for the P2 in that race, and hopefully with that 0x, the extra point that goes with it in the championship. Thank you very much for talking to us, and hope to see you next time out when we go to the Nürburgring.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Zach, do you want to pick someone for us to talk to as the final person we'll talk to this evening? I see Timo in there, actually, who's been awarded Driver of the Day, who seems like good a person as any, do you think?
I think so. Yeah, let's bring him in here.
Let's bring in Timo, our DWR leadership, Mikey's Driver of the Day. How are you doing and how was your race?
Hi. Yeah, the race was very fun. I was a bit scared at the beginning to crash because at the test start in free practice I had an accident. So I took quite a few people out there, and yeah, so I was driving a bit slow at the start, and I already heard some people saying it was a bit dangerous because they didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, at the end I think I had a good pace, and yeah, it was really fun. I also had a nice battle with, I think it was Ian and maybe even someone else after my first pit stop. That was also very nice.
Absolutely, sounds great. Well, you take the lead of the Pro-Am class, but also finished P4 overall. There are a few different incidents with the pro drivers that moved them a bit further back. How are you feeling about keeping that lead as the championship comes on?
Well, I'm not really sure because there are some tracks I have not driven before. Yeah, so I need to see how my pace is there. I think Spa I can do quite well, and maybe at the Nürburgring. But the rest of the tracks we need to see.
All right. Well, that sounds excellent. Thank you very much for coming and talking to us. We'll let you go back now, but congratulations not only on your win of the Pro-Am class, but also being awarded Driver of the Day. Thank you very much.
Am I?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I thought you got it. Mikey, who is here with us now. Yes.
Hello, guys.
Driver of the Day.
Yes. So I was watching the race, fantastic to see the first race of the season kick off, and, excellent driving throughout. Some absolute, surprises which happened in that race. And, Timo, I was watching you carefully, and I've selected you as, my driver of the day at Daytona just for the fact of where you qualified. You kept it steady through, the manic start, and being in the Pro-Am class to get a P3 overall, I believe, and to win your class as well.
I think P4 at the end.
Oh, P4 in the end. Well, still an amazing achievement, and to win your class, it's very well deserved, and I'm sure the DWR Endurance Championship Committee will be watching you very, very closely, Mr. Pro-Am driver. No, good luck, mate, and well done, and I look forward to seeing you race in the next race.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. So that concludes all the drivers we're going to be talking to today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you very much, Zach, for being alongside me in the commentary box. Mikey, anything you have left to say before we round out the first round of the championship?
Just from a leadership point of view, I'm very proud of everyone involved in kicking off the DWR Endurance Championship, and I'm sure the other members of the leadership team will be in agreement. Vaughan, who's led this from the start and really built this up to what it is today. He's done a fantastic job. To the media team, to the stewarding team, and just to all the drivers, absolutely fantastic turnout and seeing it kick off in such great style. And my last thanks are to you boys. You've done a fantastic job on the stream. It looked fantastic. The graphics, the commentary itself, and I'm sure everyone who raced will enjoy watching this back. And I look forward to seeing you guys do it all again in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mikey. Zach, anything you have before we head off this evening?
I think we had a great race. I'm excited to see what's going to happen at Nuremberg and see if we can see any of these drivers that maybe had some complications today come back and have a real race when we hit that green mile.
Absolutely. So, reminder for everyone in the stream, we will be back in 2 weeks' time on the 16th of November, same time, same place, for round 2, which will be happening at the Nürburgring, the GP layout, not the entire track. We might be here for a while to get all of that down. But thank you very much, everybody who is tuned in. If you were driving, congratulations. Whatever place you finished, you had a great spectacle for us to watch. That just leaves me to say very much thank you for joining us in the first round of the DWR Endurance Championship. Goodbye.